Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Big Brother Retrospective podcast. We are here this week to talk about Big Brother 16. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and I'm joined today by a panel of Big Brother 16 experts, the first of which is AJ. How you doing, AJ?
I'm doing great, Taran. I'm glad to be here as I talk to you and Melissa about this season. Honestly, the season that made me a super fan, if I'm being honest with you. Like this really was the season. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Well, I have a thing I need to say, which is that AJ and I have been in an all guys alliance, but luckily I feel like that's kind of played out. So we should probably invite a woman into the alliance. So I'm just gonna unilaterally make this decision. Melissa should also join us on this podcast. Melissa, how you doing?
I'm just happy to be the last girl standing. That frustrated me so much. Anyway, okay. I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be here to talk Big Brother 16. I'm honestly like extremely excited to talk Big Brother 16 because Big Brother 16 was when I first started listening to Rob Has a Podcast, and I was like, get me on that podcast. I want to talk. And then like, it wasn't till like years later when I like actually joined, but like, I would have loved to talk on Rob Has a Podcast during that season. I was like, I would respond like to the podcast and I would respond like on the live feeds being like, it was so frustrating. So I am very excited to be here.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting point. I hadn't even thought about this, but yes, Big Brother 16 is the last season that I was not on the podcast for, and in many ways is the catalyst for my involvement in the podcast, because after the events of season 16, Rob needed new people, and I was one of those people.
Yes, after the undisclosed events on the podcast. Yeah, no, and it was like I was just so like, I felt this was one of the seasons that I felt extremely passionate about. There are a few seasons like that that I can remember feeling like this way about. I felt this way about Big Brother OTT. I felt this way about probably the season with the cookout. I felt this way. There's very limited seasons where I felt this much passion towards the show. I felt, and like, you know, there was actually a recent thread on the subreddit asking like about Big Brother 16. I don't remember if it was one that said like, say something positive about Big Brother 16, or if it was like what's the takeaway from Big Brother 16, whatever the thread was, but it was about Big Brother 16. And one of the comments said, Big Brother 16 was like one of the few seasons that made me feel like the full range of emotions. And that's how I felt. Like I was thinking about it and I was like, yes, I felt super, super highs and super, super lows. I felt sad. I felt happy. I felt angry. I felt like all of these various feelings about this season. Whereas I do feel like in some of the more recent seasons, I haven't really felt that. And I felt more just like annoyed and that's it. Or I felt like, you know, kind of just mad. And this was one of those seasons that had a lot of everything. And yes, there are obviously some takeaways that, you know, that people don't like as much. They think it's boring. They think whatever, but like there was a lot going for it to watch live during the time. It was a thing.
Like I'm sure like the battle at the block and the dominance of Derrick's win has very much been a cloud over the season where people like, this is not that great of a season. This is that fun. But like literally going back and preparing for this podcast, I was like, these are some amazing characters. Like these people genuinely made me feel like these people evoke strong emotions from me. Like, and I was like, okay, I remember why I became a super fan of this show. And like, sure, the strategy wasn't the most compelling, but it was like the people around it, the chaos, the mess that was happening. Like these people, like say what you want about these people. I think at least 14 out of 16 of these people came to play. And they may have got outplayed, but it was like so much fun game to watch. Like people, great strategists like Derrick and Cody, and then actively insane people like Devin and Zach and Joey. And it's like, how do these things coexist? And it was like a mess of a season, but like such a fun mess for me personally. Like I view it similar to like Big Brother 12, where it's like the strategy's not that great, but the supporting cast though is knocking it out the park.
Totally. I absolutely agree. I did a binge rewatch recently in preparation for this podcast. And so it just was crazy to me how much I remembered every single person on the cast. I feel like there are so many recent seasons where I'm like, who is that? What is this person? And in this season, it was like everybody brought something to the table. Everybody was an interesting character or has gone on to do other things that have been interesting. And you don't really get that very often. I think the cast was amazing. I think not in terms of gameplay, but in terms of personality, like AJ said, like it was just star-studded. I loved it.
Like, not take over your podcast there, but like, imagine this cast. Like, this cast alone produced 3 Big Brother winners. This cast also produced a challenge winner.
That's true.
Like someone who went on the Traitors and Amazing Race, Survivor. Like, this cast was someone they kept going to because of the entertainment and good energy and vibes that it brought. Not everyone brought great energy, but like, there's a reason why they kept going to this well, because it's so deep. And I'm still like, why didn't they bring Deni back? Why didn't they bring this person back? Like, we brought so many people back. Like, these people deserve another chance to shine.
Totally.
All right. Well, speaking about shining,
Taran's like, let me take over.
Well, there's some business we have to get to, because last week Chappelle and I talked about Big Brother 15, and the audience has been voting for who should be on the Big Brother 15 poster, the top 3 players. AJ, Melissa, who do you think is on the Big Brother 15 poster?
I think Andy.
I agree with Andy.
And then I think I think Amanda, and I think Aaron. Like, as much as I don't love that cover necessarily to have Aaron on the cover, I do think that she is what's memorable from that season, in not a great way, obviously, but like, to me, if I'm thinking like, who are the most memorable characters from the season, I have to say Andy, Amanda, and Aaron. I think
I understand where Melissa is coming from, especially because of Aaron, Big Brother did so much changes. It made so many changes only because of her and what she did in this season. But I disagree with Melissa strongly with my entire heart and soul. Like, Andy, yes, but how do you not have Alyssa in there? Like, she was like one of the most beloved people from that season, as well as Helen. Like, I feel like those 2 women in this dark season of Big Brother 15 were like the couple of light points in it. So I think if you want to have a good feeling in your mouth, I would put Helen and Alyssa there.
I can see Alyssa for sure. I guess, like, I mean, she does have the most famous GIF of Big Brother, but I do think that, like, if I just immediately think of the season, the 3 people I said were the people I immediately thought of. But yeah, I do think Alyssa absolutely could be on there.
Well, Melissa, I think that AJ may have stolen your voice, because Andy.
The people Alyssa, look, I think the people don't want to give it to Aaron. Like, not that I want to give it to Aaron, but and this has been the case throughout this whole retrospective podcast, is I do feel like there's a difference between like who we want to put on there and who we like think should represent the season versus like who actually represents the season. I don't know.
I mean, who would you want on your bedroom wall? If that's where these are going.
Is that what this is for? Because that would be a different list. That would pick different people for that.
Yes, that is the Big Brother 15 poster. We will be making a poster for Big Brother 16. If you want to go and vote at robswebsite.com/BB retrospective. Once this podcast ends, if I remember to update the survey in time. So let's talk about Big Brother 16. And yeah, I mean, I feel like, at this point in time, I think talking about the podcast is relevant because this is really like the social media season. And, you bring in Frankie Grande, who has 1 million followers, and he's a social media mogul. And, the show is recently been made in HD now. And so it's a lot more sort of it's one of the last shows on network television to make that change. And so it no longer feels gross to look at. And they've tried to clean up their image a little bit. This is a little bit more of a sterilized cast compared to what they've been doing in previous seasons. That doesn't mean it's a perfect cast by any means, but in terms of like casting people who come from different backgrounds, aka are racist, they definitely tried to tone that down a little bit. And while I think some may bemoan that change in general, the change of like, oh, we have less arguments and less fights and less drama because everyone doesn't want to look bad. I think that this is a good example of a season where that's not necessarily the case. At least at first, there was plenty of drama. Then it got less dramatic. I think you guys are right to point out that the cast is very interesting and very memorable, and has a lot of this one. Thank you. Has a lot of future potential in reality television. Once called the worst cast in Big Brother history, it has now produced the most success of any cast in Big Brother history, Big Brother 16. So there's definitely some interesting things to note about the cast and the season as a whole.
Like I would say, like I agree. Like this cast just feels so much different from the previous cast in the previous seasons. Like I feel like I could have met most of the people on previous seasons of Big Brother, like just anywhere I go. This feels like a bunch of cartoon characters, if I'm being honest.
I mean, look at
like
them. They're all action figures.
Like, these are not real people. Like Frankie Grande does not exist. Caleb Beast Mode Cowboy does not exist. Like these are not real people. Like these are insane people that like I feel like you said, they felt more safe, but more like appealing to a wider audience, like to a younger audience. Like look at the person with the blue hair. Look at the big guy that quote unquote looks like The Rock. Like these are people that are like easily recognizable. Like just looking at the cast, it's like, oh, all these memories are flooding back.
It's like, what's interesting is that this was the first season that I watched where I felt like I could like hang out with these people. This was the first season that I was watching where I was like the same age as everybody in the cast. Basically, I was like right in the middle, and I would watch the live feeds and like have so much fun just like hanging out with them. Like it sounds so pathetic, but like I literally felt like I was like hanging out with a bunch of friends because they would have these fun conversations, or they'd do silly things, or they'd act out things. And like Frankie, honestly, in the beginning was so entertaining. He would do these like fake personas or characters or whatever, and everyone would get involved. And like obviously Zach was so fun to watch, and Hayden was like really fun. And just everybody in the cast was it just seemed like I want to be part of this. Like I want to hang out with these people. Like I could see myself hanging out with these people. And in fact, I did end up hanging out with the people. I went to the finale party, and like I went with a friend, and we snuck in, and I met a bunch of them. And then I ended up hanging out with Hayden afterwards. Like I met his cousin, and then we ended up going to his apartment a few days later. I have literally like photos on my Instagram, a photo on my Instagram, if you scroll all the way down, of like me that night at Hayden's apartment, and like Hayden's in the shot. And then after that, he would come to like my law school events, like some of my fun, like it was like law school, like club nights or whatever. It was not like a law event. It was like we would party or whatever, and it was so much fun. I had such a good time
about the law. Yeah, those things.
It was literally called Bar Review, and it was at like a party at like a club in Hollywood or whatever. And the law school would put it on. It was like an actually sanctioned event. But anyway, it was super fun, and he's just such a nice guy. And like honestly, it was so much fun because I went to his. Sorry, I'm like totally taking this over, but this is one of the reasons I wanted to talk about Big Brother 16 is I'm like, it's all pent up. I went to his apartment like a couple days after the finale party, and it was so cool to be able to like sit in a hallway, and like me and Hayden were sitting in a hallway, and I was able to like tell him everything that I had seen on the live feeds and like what I was like, why didn't you do this? Or like, what happened with this? Or like, this is what Cody said about you behind your back or whatever. Like, these are all these things that I had been like, I was like, I want the house guests to know about this stuff. And I got to be the person to tell him about it. And it was just so cool. It was like a dream for a Big Brother fan, you know? And it was just such a fun time. And I was so inspired after this season that like I applied because I was like, I want to get on this show. I want to be on there. Like, I know I could do this. And like, I could be one of these people. I've met them. Like, I feel like I could be part of this. And obviously casting had other thoughts on that. They did not think I could be part of it, but you know, that was my one and only year applying. I was like, it inspired me so much. So like, obviously like I have like very strong feelings about the cast and like this season. So yeah, it was great.
And maybe when we talk about Big Brother 17 next week, we'll discuss who Melissa would have replaced if she had made it onto Big Brother 17.
Wait, yeah, you need to say how I would have done with that cast. I do not think, and that's what's so funny is that the next season I was like, thank God I didn't get on this season. I do not feel like I could have like fit in with these people. So it varies.
Melissa, imagine being in the house with Vanessa.
I would have struggled a lot. So like, yeah, I honestly like at that season, I'm so glad I didn't get on because it's just totally opposite of this. But the interesting thing now is I went, and I don't recommend doing this, looking up the ages of all the house guests when you're like watching the show, because it will blow your mind. I am older than every single person on this cast except for Deni. I'm almost 10 years older than Devin. Is that not crazy?
Yeah.
Like, you can't sit here and tell me Devin is 26. Like, what?
Devin is 26. Like, literally. Britney, who when she has that whole like monologue about how she's the old lady in the house, she's 29. Mm-hmm. It blows my mind. So yeah, I don't recommend doing that. What got me onto that track was that the other day I was listening to the Britney talk about Big Brother 12 with you guys, and and I was like, man, that's so crazy because like Britney was so much like older than me at the time. And then I was like, I wonder like, and which she was not, but I thought she was. And then I went and I looked it up, and she's like 2 years older than me. I've always thought of her as like this, not that she like looks older or anything, but it's just like, I've always thought of her as this like older person because she's like been on the show so many times and she's like a Big Brother legend. And I was like, I'm just like little old me. And it turns out we're like the same age. So yeah, that was wild. It was like my mind like got, yeah.
Yes. Some funny things I think to note about this cast in the preseason. Devin was a very popular kind of front runner. Everyone thought Devin was going to do so well because he was so charismatic in his preseason interviews that everyone talked about his great smile. Thought that was very funny. I remember Rob saying about Zach. He said, if Zach wins this season, it'll be the best season of all time. Because what a season it would be if this guy could win a season.
And I co-sign that statement. Like
yeah,
if Zach had won this season.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Oh my
God.
God.
Insane.
So let's dig into it here. We start the season with an introduction to a new twist, the Battle of the Block. Of course, everyone knows what this is. There are going to be 2 HOHs every week, at least for a good portion of the season. They are going to each nominate 2 people. Those nominees will then compete against the other HOH's nominees. The winner of the nominee Battle of the Block competition will be safe, and their HOH that nominated them will be dethroned. And the losers of the Battle of the Block competition, their HOH, the HOH that nominated them, they will stay in place and they will stay on the block. And the rest of the week will proceed as normal. The whole point of this twist, theoretically, based on the way they presented it first, at least, was that they were like, winning HOH does not guarantee your safety in this season. They're like, what do you mean? Because you could be dethroned by having your nominees win the Battle of the Block challenge and then be nominated by the other HOH on the renom if the veto was used. We eventually see this happen to Nicole, and it wasn't even that interesting at all.
No, I mean, I think like the idea of it like is like, oh, that's kind of an interesting concept. 2 HOHs. Oh, interesting. But it completely eliminates the ability to nominate any threats because they'll just like win battle. Like it makes it so that nobody wants to nominate threats and you just like want to nominate someone weak. And it ends up being, it's bad.
No, it truly is terrible. And honestly, the antithesis of what Big Brother's supposed to be. Like, first off, what Melissa said, like, hey, people were scared to make certain moves that they was like, this is good for my game if I put these two people up. But they're likely going to win the Battle of the Block, then I'll be in danger of getting put up and going home on the week I won HOH, which is like even doubly terrible because the point of winning HOH, why we love the show, is we love seeing people that are in bad position rise to power. And now the people that discarded them, they now have all the control and determines your fate in the game. And now we're in a situation where it's like, it doesn't matter if you're the underdog. We can just take you out of power. Screw you and your power. Like, we still run this game. Like, what is this?
Yes, we've talked about this many times, but in case you haven't heard much discussion about it, the Battle of the Block is flawed in many, many ways. The biggest of which is that it is very simple. Big Brother, numbers game, all about majorities, right? If there is a majority alliance and they compete in an any given HOH competition, they have an advantage to win that competition. There's more of them, more of a chance for them to win that competition. However, if they lose the competition, then the person in the minority, the outsider, they have a chance to nominate 2 people from the majority and force them to turn on each other and all kinds of fun things when they're the 2 nominees, right? So while it's less likely to happen, you will occasionally get those moments where the outsider wins HOH. It's harder to find, but it will sometimes happen. In the Battle of the Block scenario, in a Battle of the Block scenario, there are 2 winners of the HOH every single week, which only further increase the chances that at least one of those winners will be in the majority. Now, in order for the minority to actually have control of the week, 2 of them need to win. 2 of them in the same week need to win. Otherwise, a majority winner will be a co-HOH. And because of the way that the twist works, if you have a majority and you have a decent amount of control over that majority, you can game the system, which is exactly what happens. We'll talk about it. You can nominate at least one person who's willing to throw the Battle of the Block competition to guarantee that you remain as the sole HOH. And then you can do whatever you want after the veto. And you can continue to do whatever you want because you control the votes after the veto. You can even, like, let's say you're saying, oh, well, okay, well, what if the minority tried to do that too? They nominate somebody that's also going to try to throw the Battle of the Block competition, and then it'll be like a competition of who can throw the best, right? That's still a little bit fair, right? Only no, because you're nominating an ally who's willing to throw the competition, and even if they succeed, they're now still on the block, and you are not in the majority, which means you do not control the votes. So they need to also be able to get vetoed off the block in order for you to succeed. It's just so incredibly difficult to overcome a majority, and that's just based on the numbers. What you see immediately happen in Big Brother 16 is that is even on a higher level, on an even simpler level, there's so many competitions. It's going to be so hard to beat the people who are really good at competitions. And so if all of the big beefy guys start getting into an alliance who are all going to win all the competitions, then they're going to have an even greater chance of success, which is exactly what happens in Big Brother 16. Immediately, all of these big guys think, well, we can dominate a season like this with all these competitions. Let's all group up together and work together and crush this season. And you might say, well, Taran, this is Big Brother. Just because they're big beefy guys does not mean they're going to win all the competitions. That's not how Big Brother goes, except this is really where that starts to not be true anymore. Because let me tell you, the male winner to female winner ratio for competitions this season is very, very skewed. There's a lot of guys that win a lot of comps, and in particular, the Bomb Squad, which forms, win the vast majority of the competitions this season. It is the first of its kind in how dominant a performance an alliance has, and a huge part of that is their ability to manipulate the twist. And so, for those and many more reasons, it's a bad twist.
And it lasts forever.
Forever.
Like even past jury. I couldn't believe it. Like in my mind, it was like a 2-week twist. And then I realized as I was rewatching, like, oh no, this lasted so long.
Oh my goodness.
It's horrible.
So let's get into some of the details here. In the first week, you had some really, I think the season is pretty interesting up through like week 3. Then it gets pretty like, and then as soon as Hayden and Nicole are taken out, it's just a straight shot from there for the most part. But these first couple weeks are wild, and you have exactly one person to blame and or thank for that, and that is of course Devin. Who is Devin Shepard here, everyone's favorite coming into the season. He looked like The Rock, as AJ said. That was said many times. He had this great smile. He seemed really smart. He seemed really charismatic. He seemed really like on top of it strategically. This guy is going to crush the game. And wouldn't you know it, he goes into the game. He's one of the first people to enter the house. He's one of the first 8 people to enter the house. They enter 8 people first, and then they wait a while. They enter the second half later. And that's part of this whole 2 HOHs thing. One person from each group is going to win an HOH. And he helps facilitate an immediate alliance, which is the Crazy 8s or something.
Oh yeah, right away.
Oh, the first 8 people. Yeah,
yeah. Let's all make an alliance. We're the next coming of the Elite 8. Let's take out our exes. And then within that, he makes an alliance, a secret final 2 with Deni, which he calls the Double Ds. And then the women of this group try to form their own alliance, which they call El Cuatro, which is going to, I believe this is the one, because at this point, Big Brother Canada had started, right? It had just started. And so this was like, hey, you can't, Big Brother Canada season 1 had an alliance called Cuatro. You can't call yourselves El Cuatro. I was like, this is my copyright.
They didn't care.
Luckily, it didn't last very long. Maybe unluckily, who knows? But all of this is basically for naught because the second group comes in and like Devin sees, some of the other people and realizes with wide eyes full of hearts, like, oh, more buff bros. And so him and Derrick and Frankie and Caleb, they come together. They're like, let's form a bro alliance. Let's pull in some other bros. They're going to grab Cody and they're going to grab, who am I missing here? Zach. And so those 6 form what Caleb dubs the Bomb Squad. And Devin is like, oh man, I was really all in on the Crazy 8s and my Double D alliance, but now I'm with the bombs. Now I'm with the squad. I'm with the squad. And so now I've got to trick all of my other alliances into thinking I'm still loyal to them. Because that's just how Devin operated. And this is the start. This is the start here. And it all comes from Devin.
Yes, he was wild. And it's wild to like see it happen too. Like where he's just like, Deni and I, we're tight. We're going to do this together. And then like 1 minute later is like, this guy, like, I'm just going to lie to him. Like, it's just, he just turns on like a switch and you don't know what you're getting with him. Like it would be impossible to be in an alliance with him because he's just like he's this way, that way, this way, that way. It's like, whatever way the wind's blowing is the way he's going to go. And it's, it makes for exciting TV. But yeah.
Now that I'm with the squad, I need to make sure that Deni thinks I'm still with him. So I have to put on my best acting chops.
Yeah, it's like, what even is this? Like, oh God, yeah.
Like, I understand the idea of like wanting to get into a big group first. Like, that's Big Brother 101 at this point in time. Like, try to find the big group early on to lock in and go deep, run the game with. And like, this is like just the start of Devin's wishy-washiness, because it gets actively worse. It's like we haven't even got to the worst of it. But it's also like, why do you have to fake it with Deni? Deni could be your side piece. Like,
yeah, like why do you have to fake it? Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. It's like you can have more than one thing going on. Like, you don't just need to be like, it'd be good for you to like be, it doesn't need to be like your ride or die alliance. Like, I'm only going to go to the end with Deni, but like, you don't have to sit there and lie. Just like work with him on the side. Like, his logic just didn't make any sense all the time.
The problem is he soon spots Deni like holding court, according to him, like basically making a couple people laugh. And he was like, this guy.
He's like, I can't.
He was like, what, making bird noises or something?
He was in the army. I'm telling you, he's lying about who he is. He's lying. He's tricking us. This guy, he's got to go. Now, all of a sudden, his secret Final Two Double D Alliance member has to go in the first week. He wants him gone. He wants him on the block.
Like, that's the thing is like, who cares if Deni's been in the military? Like, if he's in your alliance, that would be like maybe a good thing for you if he's secretly like super athletic or something. Like, why does that hinder you? I don't know why it's like we have to take him out now because now I'm actually against him. It doesn't make any sense.
Like here's why it don't make sense. He's targeting someone for something he made up in his own head. Like, it's not like Deni actively did something to prove that he's untrustworthy to Devin, or that Devin shouldn't trust him, or Donnie's doing anything more than being a funny, goofy, lovable old Deni. Let me tell you something. I've seen this cast. These people never met a country guy in their lives. So they're just like intrigued by him, by his existence. But
like, there's no way.
Exactly. But yet he wants to turn this into this paranoid spiral that someone is lying and deceiving. And because of that, they're the biggest threat in the game. Like, someone was lying and deceiving. It was the biggest threat in the game, but it wasn't Deni.
Yes. So with the excuse that they're just nominating the 4 people who were out first in the HOH competitions, Britney, Victoria, Deni, and Paola are the first 4 nominees. And Britney and Victoria end up winning the Battle of the Block, which means that Caleb is going to maintain his status as the first HOH. Frankie is dethroned. And this means that like they're on track to take out Deni here. Essentially, Deni, who is Devin's target because he was in the military, and Deni, I just wear camo. It's not because I was in the military.
Doesn't make any sense. Or no, high water socks. Yeah, it's high water socks. He doesn't have hair on his legs, so that means he must be in the military.
Could you imagine, like, that would be like if Derrick came in with his uniform, I hope nobody figures out, or like comes in with like a, like an LAPD hat or something. Yeah. Like, man, I hope no one figures out I'm a cop. Like, why would he be wearing the camo if he was trying to maintain his cover as not having been in the military?
No, but he also had a Harvard shirt. It's almost like, oh, he's a Harvard law professor.
It's so crazy. They're like, there's no way he's the groundskeeper. They just didn't believe it.
However, he wins the veto, and that is bad news because they can no longer take Deni out, and so they're gonna have to find a replacement nominee. In the meantime, there's some more things going on because Devin has decided, you know what? I'm a feminist. I'm not into this bro alliance. This is all guys alliance. That doesn't work. We need some women. We need a woman's touch here. And so he goes and he finds Amber and Christine. Why? who knows? Who are we to question his genius? Because they were great picks. It really actually did. For as much heat as he got for this, for as much as people clowned him for this was one of the most successful moves in the game.
Yeah, those two were so loyal, like to an infuriating degree. They were loyal.
This was his approach to Amber and Christine. He said, hey, there's already a guys alliance.
Yeah.
I want you in it.
And it was like, I love that. They said okay to that. They was like, I love that. I love being at the bottom of a guys alliance.
He brought them up, and everyone else clearly had no idea what was happening. And they were like, oh, yeah, you're in it too now. And they were like, wow, I'm in an alliance.
And they were like, you didn't ask us about this at all. You just went on your own to invite these people into our alliance. Like that, why? Why would he go? Why would he just go and unilaterally ask them to join instead of communicating with his alliance?
Like, and you can tell me I'm wrong. This was in the middle of the night. He woke up, someone was like, hey, I got something to tell you. I did a thing.
Woke up Caleb. He was like, we've got some new alliance members.
In the middle of the night. Oh my God. He's like asleep.
So the bomb squad, they're freaking out. They're like, what is happening? We now have to deal with 2 more people who apparently know about the alliance. That's scary. That's sketchy.
It's already a huge alliance. They don't need more people.
Of course, at this point, Derrick and Cody have already locked in. They are the hitmen. I don't think this happens in the episodes for quite a while, but they were very early on going to work together in this alliance. And so obviously, when this happens, Derrick is like, we can't work with this guy. But they do what they have to. Like, there's Christine and Amber are here now, so. That's just the way it is. And Caleb didn't mind too much because from the moment I saw Amber, I knew.
Oh God.
She was to be mine.
This. Oh, poor Amber.
Yeah. It's that it gets bad. So the bomb squad is now an 8-person alliance. It was originally a guys alliance, but it now has Christine and Amber. Now,
like, so why don't Christine and Amber like ever question? Wait, we're like the last ones brought into this. We're not, we're not truly part of it. I don't feel truly in it. Yet the entire season are like, I have to be loyal to my alliance, blah, blah, blah. It's like, that was so infuriating. It's like, they never questioned, like, the fact that they were brought in so late, the fact that they don't have any like individual alliances within the alliance, aside from Christine and the detonators, blah, blah, blah. But it's like everybody was doing their own little thing and they were never part of that and they didn't question a thing. They just
I think it's worth
we question this, like, I feel like almost every season saying, okay, there's this big alliance. Why don't you create a counter alliance? Like, but this time you have 2 people who like had the blueprints and been like, okay, I can do something better than this. Now,
I don't want to be the
other side of the house. The other side of the house is a mess,
why do I want to be on the bottom of this giant alliance now that I know about it? Like, obviously, like they could. I totally agree. They have to say, yes, I'm part of this. I'm totally in. But they should know in their minds that they have to think of something else to do, because even if they get all the way down to the end with this alliance, they're the first ones to go. They're easy pickings. Like.
So I think it's worth kind of placing ourselves in time, right? Because the bomb squad is the first real big alliance that actually succeeds. At the time that the bomb, now, of course, you had like, you had the brigade, which was laughed at first, but then it succeeded. And you were like, whoa, a bro alliance can work. What happened to the 4 horsemen? But this was like, it was a big alliance. It was at 6 people. It was already too big. At the moment that Devin introduces 2 more people to it, it's an 8-person alliance now. That's way too big. It's way too messy. And this was destined to fail. the fans were clowning on this so hard at this time. It's the first one that actually succeeds, right, at this size. And it is this season that teaches future players the lesson that you need to be careful about when you're invited into the alliance and where you place in it. And if there is a big alliance, you need to do something about it because they might just steamroll. Because prior to this season, that didn't really exist. And so I think it's like, for as much as these people do deserve the clowning that they get for just accepting the place that Devin chose for them in this alliance, there was much less sort of historical record for them to fall back on to sort of like understand what they should or shouldn't do in this position. Because to this point, if you were included in the alliance, you got an alliance. Like, that's good.
And I will say, I think Amber and Christine, even though similar, took two like slightly different approaches to it, and both were shown to be like unsuccessful, their approaches. So you could have learned like this what not to do. Like I think Amber was like, okay, to your face, I'm going to be a happy, loyal soldier, but like I'm also going to be like looking other ways because I don't particularly like you, Devin. I don't particularly like you, Caleb. Like I don't like y'all as people. So like let me try to see if I can do something else. And she had a like confidant in Christine because she was like, hey, I don't like these people. I don't like how they're doing stuff. And that got her in trouble with the alliance because why are you plotting against the alliance? And then you have someone like Christine being like, okay, I'm the last one in. Let me make myself extremely valuable to these people. Let me show them my worth and let me give them everything. She started becoming a rat from the outside people to the inside people. Like I think Christine is a big part of why the bomb squad was ultimately, and the detonators was ultimately successful. But then Christine saw like they valued me for what I brought them. But at the end of the day, I'm still on the bottom with them. So that's clearly not a good strategy either.
She had no individual relationships with any of the people in the bomb squad on like a strategic basis. Like obviously her and Cody had like a friendship or whatever, but they didn't have a close strategic, they didn't have an alliance, they didn't have a final two. She didn't have anything like that. Her closest ally was Nicole. And within that, like Nicole, Hayden, Donnie, Christine group. And like she totally blew it. Like she should have been keeping that Nicole relationship as much as she could. And the Hayden thing, she should have been keeping that while also, you know, I'm with you guys. But she chose to betray Nicole extremely early, way too early. I think she could have absolutely like kept Nicole along way longer than that and used her as like, you know, like the parachute sort of thing. And said, we can use Nicole, we can do whatever. But instead, she like immediately starts ratting Nicole out and trying to like turn Nicole against Hayden and do all this like personal stuff with Nicole. And that was just totally the wrong move. Like she should not have been doing that. She should have been looking out for herself and keeping her other like alliance close while also doing stuff with the detonators. It's just, I don't understand how she was like looking at the detonators and being like, okay, so like Derrick and Cody obviously are like very close. Zach and Frankie are obviously very close. Like Caleb, you know, whatever. I don't have anyone in there that I can really truly work with, like on a deep level. I need to start, keep some other options around. And she just like didn't do that. And it was so infuriating the entire season to watch because like, Christine's not a dummy. That she like can do it. And she just actively chooses to do stuff that's like not in her best interest.
I think it can't be understated how powerful Cody and Derrick were as a duo, especially within the bomb squad, because both Amber and Christine kind of fell victim to Cody in terms of like feeling very connected to him. So like you had this sort of like down to earth friendship vibe from Cody of like, hey, he's in the alliance. I have an ally in him. I have a friend in him. And then you had the like voice of sanity in Derrick, who was like steering the ship. Like, hey, we know that these other people are out of their minds. But us, we're the ones that understand what's actually happening. We're going to actually, do what we need to do. And so, yeah.
And I'll give this to Christine, right? Like, and I understand the idea of like, okay, you have Nicole, you have Donnie, you have Hayden over here who all trust you. That would be a good group, a good alliance for you. But then there's like this large alliance over here, and they want me to be a part of it and just want to run to the numbers and feel safe. And then when you get to the numbers, you're also brought into a more inner numbers with like more of the same people, Cody, Derrick, Zach, her. I forgot who's the last member of the detonators. But like, it's like,
Frankie.
okay, Frankie, thank you. Like, yes, thank you. Okay, I am in this big alliance, and I'm only that I'm protected. I'm in this shield with this big alliance. But still, these are not people. You have Cody. You're cool with Cody, yes. But like, these are not the people that you feel best with. These are not the people that vibe best with you. These are not people that are looking out for your best interest. Like, always keep people around that like will like move heaven and earth for you. And that's not what that's not what Derrick was going to do. That's definitely not what Zach was going to do. That's not what Frankie was going to do. So it's like, sure, you can have this side thing, but don't forget to look at your pieces, what's valuable to you, and don't ruin it. Don't throw your other piece to the side, or don't like ruin your other piece's game because you feel safety over here. Because safety is only going to last for so long. Because that story, like, the wolf eats the sheep, but you ignore it until it's your turn to get eaten. And then it's like, wait, where's everyone out to rally behind me? No, they're all got eaten already.
Well, that's what happens, I think, very early on, right? Is that like, and this ties back into the first week where, Joey is the player who really wants to make El Cuatro work. And she listen, Joey is unfairly maligned because Joey was correct. She was like, there's a bro alliance happening. Yeah. The women should stick together. And she's saying
they immediately rat her out.
She's saying this to Amber, and Amber's like, she's right. There is a guy alliance, and I'm in it. The famous line.
My God, I hate it. I'm so like, the women in this season made me so mad with and I'm in it. And then when they're like, I'm just happy to be the last girl standing. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you guys for making me the last girl standing. It is so, you don't want to be the last girl standing. You want a group of girls around you. Like, what is wrong with you people? Oh, it made me so mad. The women in this season were just like, so infuriating.
Yeah, so she immediately gets ratted out by the women, and the guys are like, we knew it. I knew these girls would do something like this. That's why we made our alliance in the first place. And so, of course,
and then Joey's like, oh, I'm just gonna like admit it. I'm so sorry that I made a girls' alliance to try to get you out. Like, why? And this is a pattern this season too.
She knew she was okay. This is the thing though. She knew she'd been ratted out. She knew that they knew. She might as well come clean and try something, right?
Yeah, but you don't say like, I wanted to get you out. You say like, look, I was just having a strategy conversation. I was just talking, like, I actually wasn't going to do it, whatever. Like you play it down. You don't say like, yeah, you guys were my targets. You just like make up a story and be like, we were just chatting and we were saying like, it'd be really fun to have like all women somewhere. Wouldn't like, we weren't actually serious. There was nothing actually made. We were just saying, wouldn't it be fun? You know what I mean? Like you don't just immediately say like, yeah, you guys were my targets. I was trying to get you out. I tried to rally the votes I tried to rally the people against you. Like, you don't actually admit to exactly what you did. And this is a pattern for this season.
But because then Zach goes and does the same
thing. Zach goes and does the same thing when he's like, I did try and target you. Like I did say we should get you out.
Zach's was way worse, I felt.
Zach was bad. Zach was
bad. Everyone was doing this whole season. It's like the second that someone like questions you about something, you're like, yeah, I did. Like, don't do that. You deny, obfuscate, deny. Like that's like, what you got to do.
Like, I'll give Joey this. Like, and I don't know how good of a player that Joey would have been in this season, but Joey had a good instinct. She had a good gut start. Like, okay, there's a big alliance, probably made up of the guys. Let me go and build a counter. Let me try to build something that's going to oppose that. And when nobody is on board with you, when they're just giving you crickets, what do you got to do? You got to pivot. And I don't like how she pivoted, but I like the idea of I got to pivot and try to appease these people instead of just like going down in this sinking ship that's clearly going nowhere.
I think she should have said she should have gone to Derrick or she should have gone to Devin or whatever and been like, look, like, or Caleb, whoever she went to, I don't remember, but she should have said that like, look, like I recognized that like I was on the outs. I was trying to find common connection with people. I was trying to talk with people and like try and make something happen. Nobody was taking and no one wanted to be in an alliance with me. I'm totally alone. Like I want to be like I want to be in something. If I can work with you, I want to work with you. Like instead of saying that like I'm targeting you or I was going after you, like it should have just been like, I don't have anybody. I was trying to find like some sort of connection with somebody. Now I'm alone. I'm a puzzle piece to be picked up. Please, like, use me, let me, whatever, and get to the next week.
Well, so here's the thing. Basically, what happens is the entire house agrees that she must be the worst player in Big Brother history because she tried to start an all-women's alliance, and that never works. In fact, when she tried to start the alliance, I think somebody said, like, you can't get 7 women together to all work together. That would never work. Meanwhile, the bomb squad of 6 guys together is an alliance. But now she's, of course, the worst player in Big Brother history. She dared think that the women could work together and then admitted to it. And so therefore, she sealed her own fate. Really, I think the worst move she made was her alter ego.
Yes.
Because here's the problem, Joey. Joey, you were only there for 1 week and you made an alter ego named Alex. And how are people supposed to remember which one is your real name, Joey, when you have 2 different names that could both be a man's name or a woman's name? How are they supposed to remember which one is the real one, Joey?
Also, it was like, so it didn't make any sense either. Like, it's fine if she wants to do it for fun or just like be silly, that's fine. But like, she went around being like, this is my way to try and like win votes or to get people to, keep me in the house.
I thought it was a funny meta commentary on the state of gender in Big Brother.
It was an interesting, yes, that is true. But it was weird because she was like, oh, you don't think I'm a threat? I'm a threat. I'm going to get you out, whatever. And she's like, oh, you feel threatened now? And it's like, wait, I'm sorry. You're trying to threaten them to make them want to keep you? Like, obviously they didn't actually feel threatened, but like just the thought process behind it, like it didn't make any sense. Like that would work in any way. The people you saw their faces. They just thought like she was kind of being weird, and she was kind of being weird. That's not the way to get people to keep you around. And I think also first boots usually have like a really hard time because it's like, they'll just go off of anything. It's like, you just think of any reason or any little thing. And then it's like, yeah, let's just get that person out. We don't really know them very well. Like as long as it's not me, it's fine to be anyone else. So like, I think like, Joey could have maybe done something if she had stuck around longer, but like obviously you find one little thing and it's easy to just kick them out.
Like I personally do not believe Joey's the worst player this season. Full stop. Honestly, there's several people that comes to my mind before Joey.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you rally to save yourself by dressing up like a guy and yelling at folks? Just yell at them.
Just yelling at them.
Like that's not how you win friends and influence people. Like that is actively not a part of that book.
No.
I am a Joey apologist, and I will have no more insults on Joey. I will also now reveal to you, in case you forgot, that Joey was actually the first voted in member of the other twist of the season.
Yes.
The Team America twist. People remember Team America as Deni, Derrick, and Frankie. But first, before any of them, came Joey. She just got voted out before she could actually do anything with it. But yes, Joey is voted out here. It was always going to be this way. Her fate was sealed. But Team America comes together afterward. Deni, Derrick, and Frankie. And this is definitely a boon for Derrick's game. Deni is going to be one of, if not the, I would say one of the only people who is ever going to really be able to see what's happening in the game and with Derrick to some degree. And there's a case to be made that his participation in Team America is what helps him see what's happening with Derrick. But in general here, the involvement of Deni into this group just gives Derrick a lever of control with one of his most dangerous adversaries, really.
Like truly, Deni is one of the first people, and he does this early on, clocks Derrick. Like Deni quickly sees who Derrick is and what Derrick can do, but like this Team America thing really gave Deni being like, okay, but I have to be loyal to him. I have to be his ally. I have to work with him somewhat. Like clearly I don't trust him completely because he don't trust me completely, but America has put us together. So I got to do what's good for America because America likes us for some reason. So I do think that hindered, because I think Deni would have like when Deni was HOH, he would have made different decisions if he didn't have that relationship with Derrick through Team America.
Yes, and Team America, of course, was the 3 most popular players voted into Team America. They were given tasks all season long to accomplish. They received extra cash for accomplishing these tasks. Some of them were funny. Some of them were fine. Overall, I would say
supposed to be game related. Like some of them, like the ones
Amber kind of gets voted out because of one,
which was not
and I did not like it.
Wanted.
They did not follow the rules.
They did not. Thank you. They did not follow the rules on that. They said America specifically said, and I just remembered Reddit and Twitter at the time was like we want a physical threat up on the block, aka one of you guys, not like one of the people in the detonators in the bomb squad, whatever. And they're like, well, they want a physical threat. Amber, that's what they're thinking. America wants this. This is what America wants. It's like, no, that is not at all what we don't think of Amber as a physical threat. We're talking about you guys. Oh, that was so.
I will give it to them that Amber does become a future challenge champion, which is a very physical show. But they did not know that at the time. That was
not known information at the time. And at the time, physical threat was someone from the detonators.
All right. Well,
with the big muscle.
We get into week 2 after Joey is evicted. Amber wins one of the HOH competitions, and Cody wins the other, or so he thought. He actually just barely was disqualified at the last second. They have to inform him after the fact, after he thought he had won, and instead of Cody winning, Devin is there instead, and Cody is pissed because he can't stand Devin or the all of the wild actions that he's taking. He's like, now this guy is going to be the HOH. Are you serious? And what a wild week this is with Devin and Amber at the helm.
We are truly better for it. Like if Cody was HOH this week would have been so uninteresting. It would have been so boring. Probably a similar outcome to actually what happened. But Devin likes to take us on roller coasters of emotion and rides.
It was very entertaining to watch on the feeds. It was so much
fun. So Devin has the HOH, and he's starting to feel a little guilty because he saw. I don't know if you know this. But Devin has a daughter, and when he wins the HOH, he sees some photos, he gets a little taste of home, and he realizes that he was there to play with honesty. He was there to play an integral game. And for that reason, he is starting to feel very guilty about what he did to his Double D partner, Deni. And he has to fess up. He has to be honest. He goes to Deni and he says, listen, I have to tell you, I know we're Double Ds, but I was trying to get you out. I did tell people that I thought you were lying about who you were and what you did. And I forced them to nominate you.
Well, speaking of babies, little babies.
Oh, boy.
Oh, look at the baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Easy. Look, it's the podcast.
Guys, Melissa has a baby.
Melissa has a baby. He's not a daughter, but he is a son.
It's time, Melissa, for you to be honest with us.
Yeah.
Now that the baby's here.
Tell us how you really feel.
I would do exactly what Devin did. I want to podcast honestly and integrity. Mm-hmm. Hi. Okay, I'll let him go. You're so cute.
Oh.
So boy. Okay. Bye. And the dog. We have another.
He's got another baby.
The other baby.
It's a great example of what happened because the baby reminded, not that his daughter was a baby, but his daughter reminded him of who he really was. He needed to own up to what happened. Deni, in the meantime, is like, I'm sorry. What?
You think I do what?
What? And Devin's like, you know what? That was not sufficient. I need to call a house meeting. And And so he calls a house meeting so he can fess up in front of everyone that he is the reason Deni went on the block. And he feels very bad about it, but he's here to play an integral game, and that's what happened. And Britney's like, I'm sorry, I thought we were nominated because we were the first out of the competition, not because you were controlling who was being nominated. And Devin is like, how dare you?
Like,
how dare you question my honor and integrity after what I just did?
Like, why do
Britney becomes his next target?
Call a house meeting.
Like, why are you not talking to your freaking alliance, your alliance that have power, that made up this entire story about why we nominate these certain people, and be like, they lied to y'all, and I manipulated them to lie to you. You cannot trust what they said because of what I did. But also, I'm honorable and honest person, despite the fact we've been deceiving you, and I will no longer deceive, except for you who called me a bad person, which she didn't even say. She was like, "Wait a minute,
yeah,
this is inconsistent." She didn't say nothing about him, out his name or nothing.
He becomes dead set on Britney as his target. He coordinates with Amber so that she nominates Hayden and Nicole together. They're already starting to become a bit of a duo, a bit of a showmance. The showmance part comes a little bit later, but they're definitely a duo at this point to some degree. And they're both seen as fairly strong competitors. While Devin nominates Britney and Paola. He tells Paola, throw this competition for me, please. I would like you to throw the Battle of the Block competition so that I can remain the HOH, and I will make sure that you stay safe if you do so, because Britney is my target. This is my guarantee to you. To which she says, okay, and then doesn't do that, because why would she do that? But he's convinced that she did.
Because here's the thing, if you're in Paola's position, just say yes, and if you don't do it, you're safe for a week. He can't do nothing. He can't be empowered this week. But if you don't do it, guess what? Now he's promising you safety. So it's like, okay, it's a win-win for me, but the devil's a lie. I ain't about to throw this. I want to play. The devil's a lie.
Yeah, that's the situation where you just say yes.
Yes. Yeah. So they lose the Battle of the Block competition. Devin remains the HOH. Britney and Paola on the block now. Britney is his target, but Britney is not Derrick's target. Derrick,
which is what matters this season. Literally every week, I would just be like, okay, none of this matters until I find out who Derrick wants out. And if Derrick wants you to stay, like, you're staying. If Derrick wants you out, you're out.
And this is the first week where that feels very true. Now, granted, he was definitely a huge part of sending Joey out the previous week, but it was such a house consensus that it didn't seem to matter. Britney has good relationships with many of the people in the bomb squad. There are a lot of them that don't want her out, but in particular, Derrick has a good relationship with Britney. And at the time, a lot of people are still looking at Frankie as probably the most influential player in the game, because he has so many relationships, and Derrick is a little bit lagging behind in that respect. But everybody wants Britney to stay, basically, except for Devin. But Devin's pushing Britney super hard. He wants Britney gone. And so this causes some issues because they're all just like, you've already unilaterally invited people into our alliance. You're now like exposing us, causing us to get into trouble with people because you're exposing like why we nominated people. And you're trying to tell us now that like Britney definitely needs to be the one to go when all of us want her to stay and we'd rather Paola leave. No, we're sorry. We don't want this to happen. And so like, you know, Amber is talking about it. Everyone's talking about it. They talk about it to Caleb. And Caleb is like, oh, excuse me. Devin is my bro, but I'm not going to have that kind of thing against my queen. And so Caleb takes it upon himself to go speak to Devin about this. The way that he's acting in the alliance is causing some friction. He doesn't like the way that he's talking to the women. And Devin is like, whoa, excuse me, what do you mean? They get into a whole fight. And Devin's like, alliance over. That's it.
Alliance
no more
done.
bomb squad. And Caleb the next day is like, you know what? That was my bad. I need to apologize to Devin. You know what, bros do come first, and I really need to get back in there with Devin. So Caleb goes and apologizes to Devin. He says, I'm so sorry. It's, all these other people, they're just worried about you. And I don't want to put you up like they want to put you up. And Devin's like, they want to put me up?
Uh-oh.
He's like, no, just a little bit, but not me. And so then Devin calls another meeting, but this time just the bomb squad. And he's like, listen, this is why Britney needs to go, because I told Paola she needed to throw the competition. She did throw the competition for me, so I would not feel comfortable letting Britney leave. Does anybody have a problem with that? Or letting Britney say, does anybody have a problem with that? And it's crickets. Nobody says anything. Why would they say anything? They don't want to get in trouble with Devin. You know who does say something? Zach. Zach says something because it's Zach. Why wouldn't he say something? Zach says, I don't want Britney to go, and I don't think other people want Britney to go. Who's with me?
Nobody.
And so Devin says, it's Zach. He's the one that wants me out. He questions Zach about it afterward, and Zach says, yeah, I did say that.
Which is like, what are you doing? Why? There were so many times this season where I was just like, Zach, no, don't say that. Why are you doing this to yourself? He was just constantly putting his foot in his mouth, and he shouldn't be saying the stuff that he said. And it was just like, it was so hard being a Zach fan, because it was just like you were sitting on the edge of your seat at all times, hoping he doesn't say the wrong thing.
Like, truly, I think Zach was my favorite this season. Like, I adore Zach this season.
Oh, me too.
But Zach is an actively bad player. Like, every time Zach does something, he puts himself in a worse position. Like, if he just sat there and did nothing, he would have been fine. He would have been actively okay. But he kept doing stuff that puts heat on him and put a target on his back and have his allies not trust him even more. So it's like, Zach, please, let's just stop. I want to see you succeed in life. But yeah, you just digging your own grave.
And anytime that Zach, like was saved or like was in a bad spot and then ended up not being in a bad spot, it was never due to something he would do. It was always due to something around him, like the swirling house around him, and all of a sudden Zach saved. But like if Zach ever tried to like take matters into his own hands, like he always, like AJ said, would put himself in a worse position. And anytime he got power, it was so bad for him. It was like, we'd be like, yeah, he's HOH. And then we're like, no, he's HOH. Oh my God. Like, please, Zach, stop. It's like, he was just, he was my favorite by far. And it's like, but it was so exciting being a fan of his, because you were just like, you didn't know like what was going to happen. And you just were constantly like, is Zach in danger this week? Oh my God, what's going on? And it was just, it really made the season like a roller coaster.
But like, back to the man of the hour, Devin needed to get checked. Full stop. That man was doing crazy stuff that is not acceptable in any alliance. Why are you unilaterally adding people to the alliance? Why are you unilaterally telling people they're safe? Why are you doing stuff by yourself, calling a house meeting and exposing your allies' lies? Like, Devin keeps doing stuff that someone needs to tell him, yo, you can't be doing this. This is not good for our games, but no one did. And the one time someone tried to tell him something, which was Caleb, I was like, you know what? He needs to hear this. Like, yo, Devin, you talking over the women. You making the women feel uncomfortable. That's not okay. And his response is, no, I ain't. I'm not talking over the women. They feel like, very comfortable with me. Like,
yeah, I believe how the apology from Caleb went was like, Caleb was saying, listen, we need to, I'm sorry, we need to be aligned. And Devin said, it's fine. It's just the thing about you saying that I said that about that I treat women a certain way. Like, that's what I'm not okay with. And it's, it's very important that us two men have this conversation about that.
We don't ask the women. We just do this outside, and we just, decide that that's actually not true. So the women are fine.
But truly, why are you not talking about with your allies? What's the plan for the week? What do y'all want to have happen to this week? Let's come to a consensus. Because Devin, you're not Derrick. This is not your world. You don't get to do whatever you want.
Well, it gets worse.
Even so, Derrick would never. Like, Derrick would always at least communicate to his allies this, and make them. He would honestly make them think that it was their idea. It was their plan all along, and that was Derrick's superpower, was to convince someone that his idea was their idea, and that he's just going along with it. If he's happy to go along with it, if that's what you want. And he was just so good at that. And Devin was the opposite. He was just like, this is my idea, and I'm going to do it without talking to you about it.
And he's going to be like, how dare you not agree with my idea? Like, just because you don't agree with someone's idea does not mean you don't want to work with them. Does not mean y'all can't have a good relationship. But the one time they push back, he's like, screw the alliance. Alliance is done. I know I made it, but we ain't doing this no more.
Yeah, so he discovers that Zach, in his mind, Zach is the trouble starter. Zach is the one that's talking about him, that wants him gone. So Zach overhears him right before the veto competition tell Paola, I will use the veto one if I win. And Zach knows what this means. It means that all of a sudden, Devin's now looking to backdoor him. And wouldn't you know it, Devin does win that veto. And so now all the pieces are in place for Devin to backdoor Zach by vetoing Paola. And Zach even has a conversation with him. He's like, listen, I just don't want you to be like thinking about nominating me or anything. And Devin's like, who said anything about nominating you? Now that you mention it, though, maybe it's a good idea.
You put this idea in my head, actually. It was actually you.
Exactly. So he's ready to do it. Here we go. Paola, who in his mind threw the battle of the block for him. And, he said he promised that he would take her off the block with the veto. He's all set to use it. But first, Britney comes up and talks to him. And she says, Devin, if there's anything I know about you, it's that you have a daughter. And I, too, have children. And I want us children havers, I want us to succeed. And Devin is like, I've misjudged you.
He's like, wait, you have kids? Oh my God.
It's insane because literally from the conversation Britney had with Devin, actively nothing changed. There's not a single thing that changed from the moment she started that conversation to ended that conversation. She just straight up facts about life.
And he throws Paola under the bus so hard out of nowhere. In his mind, she's been a loyal soldier to him, doing everything he's asked. And because of this one conversation, he goes, you know what? I was trying to take you out, and I told Paola to throw the battle of the block competition to make it happen, and she did, and that's why you're here. But you know what? I'm going to save you instead. And so he takes Britney off the block, leaving Paola. And in one of the most unhinged veto ceremonies of all time.
It was crazy.
Because Britney's pissed at Paola for throwing the battle of the block competition. She's like, I would like to say something.
She says, can I just say something? And then the episode ends there, by the way. So it's like so exciting. And you're like, wait, what's she going to say? And then the next episode comes. I feel like so many veto meetings, like nomination ceremonies, whatever, had excitement. Like people would just like get into fights, or they'd say stuff, or they'd do these speeches or whatever. And it was just like, you never knew what was going to happen at these meetings.
So Britney comes off the block. Zach replaces her. The bomb squad is imploding already. Britney wants to say something. She's going to call out Paola for throwing the battle of the block. Paola's like, I didn't throw it. I just said I did. And Devin's like, I know you did it. And Zach is like,
oh yeah, which was so funny is like Britney says, I'd like to say something, and then Zach goes, me next. Like he literally was like, yeah, me
Zach
too.
gets all the way up. He stands in front of all of them. He has all the energy and none of the words.
None. He's
just like he can't think of the words to say, and ends it with like, what do you have to say to that? But he doesn't even like have like a finale.
This guy wants me gone, and you know what? I know this couch is going to vote for me. Frankie, I'm not sure. Caleb, I'm not sure, but I know I'm going to stay, and I'm going to be coming right at you, Devin, and you lied. You lied about it, and you. Yeah, so what do you think about that, Devin? And Devin's like,
Frankie, don't be nervous.
He's like, oh yeah, just smile at me with that fake smile. That's what I thought, Devin. What do you think about that?
It's actively insane because Zach was just spitting like nothing. Like literally, he had nothing to say. He just wanted the spotlight. He was like, "This is my moment. I'm going to be on television. So let me just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks." Like he was just like, and pause. If I start a sentence with like, "You don't have to worry," you actively have to worry about what I'm about to say. Because I'm not about to say nothing good.
Don't be worried, Frankie, or whatever. And it's like, why does he preface it with that? Like, why does he start with that? Because he doesn't say anything about Frankie. Like, it doesn't make any sense why he like calls Frankie out.
And Caleb are pissed.
They're
Frankie
pissed.
was mad, Lissa.
And Zach does the famous like impression of Devin where he's like, "Oh, I would never compromise my honesty and integrity." And he does this whole impression of him, and it's just like it's so good, but it's so stupid and bad. And it's just like, you want it to be good because you like want him to have like the words and like the fiery takes, and it's just like he just doesn't have it. But it's still very exciting.
Melissa, I truly believe he was so confident. He was like, I'm going to stay, and this is why I'm going to stay. And like, wait, I can't rat out my alliance that I have.
Right. I think you're totally right. I think because he was like, I know this couch is going to vote for me, and I'm going to be in this house, and I'm going to come after you. And then he's like, he specifically calls out his alliance members on the other couch to be like, I don't know about Frankie or Caleb. It's like,
because at the time they were voting him out. That is the sort of under-remembered part of this.
They totally were. And I remember being like, oh no, this is so horrible. Zach's leaving. And I was checking all the boards and checking everything like every single day, being like, what is going on? What's happening? And then eventually I saw an update that said like that Derrick was like, actually, I think maybe we'll keep Zach. And I was like, yes, it's happening. Zach's going to stay.
So Frankie and Caleb backed Devin here. Frankie had a great in with Caleb. I think people sometimes people probably remember that because of the throwing later. But like Frankie felt really in with Devin and Caleb. And for as much as Zanky was a thing, they were never actually that strategically linked.
They should have been.
They certainly should have been.
Frankie made like such grave errors when it came to Zanky because he had Zach wrapped around his finger and he just like threw it away. He didn't even care.
And he was trying to throw it away here. He was trying to get rid of Zach, who he felt was also a wild card. He might as well stick with Devin and Caleb, where he feels like he's got that power core. And the rest of the house was willing to go with the Zach vote, and the rest of the alliance was mostly willing to go with the Zach vote. And Frankie, remember, at this time, I will never forget this because this was the moment everything changed in Big Brother 16 from my perspective. We were all looking at Frankie as the decision maker, as the shot caller, because he wanted Zach gone. And we were like, why? But he's making it happen. He was going from room to room and getting into groups of people and convincing them to vote out Zach. And they were agreeing with him. And Zach was dead in the water until Derrick started going into those rooms right after Frankie left them. And he'd be like, so what are you guys thinking? He'd be like, we think it's Zach. Like, yeah, totally Zach. Let's talk it through. Like what's going into the decision? And he would just get them talking and he would start asking some questions. And by the end of the conversation, he'd be like, okay, so what are we thinking again? And they'd be like, actually, we think the smart move is to keep Zach. He'd be like, oh, interesting. That's an interesting thought. Yeah. I think
maybe I agree with you.
And it was ridiculous to watch.
It was so good.
And I don't think this really made the episodes ever, but like it was, I was in awe. I was just like, this is unreal. The way that he was able to flip everyone back over. So by the time Frankie came back to check in with people, he was like, all right, so it's still Zach. And they were like, actually, we had the idea that Zach should stay. And then Frankie would go back to Derrick and be like, I don't know what happened. Nobody wants to vote Zach. And Derrick's like, oh, really? Man, I guess we don't have the numbers then. And just like that, Derrick just took control of the entire game and he never let go.
There's a reason why Derrick plays one of the greatest one-time games, but like it actively made no sense for any of them to want Zach gone. Like that would have been such an actively bad move to vote that man out. I understand he's a performative asshole who does crazy stuff sometimes that you can't always control. But you can control his game moves. You can control what he does in this game, like strategically. Like he's not like Devin going to invite random people into an alliance. Like that's not who Zach is. And Zach is closest to you, Frankie. Like you are his guy. Like why are you willingly throwing away someone who's willing to throw away their game for you? Because of what? And again, Zach is in your alliance. And I'm gonna be honest with you. You're telling me that showboat would not have exposed your alliance had he got voted out this week? He did it multiple times this season, and that's when he wasn't in danger.
He just was so good at like he would always make people think that his decisions were their decisions, and that they had come up with the idea, and that he was just going along with it, and but he was happy to do it. And people always thought of him as like the voice of reason, and you could even see it like anytime he would they'd be trying to make a decision on something, like Derrick would come in and they'd be like, oh, Derrick is coming, he'll have something good to say, like he'll be good, like he'll have like a good idea. And like they always would rely on Derrick, and always like be like, well, what does Derrick think about this? And like it was so impressive, and he never made him feel like the people feel like he was like taking over or controlling them or like making the decisions for the alliance, even though what he said would be what happened. It never felt that way. It always felt like he was like just listening to them and just like trying to figure it out. And he just was, it was so impressive. This was like, yeah, it's such an impressive week. And like I said, every single week, whoever Derrick wanted, that was like, if you knew that person was going to go home if Derrick was like, no, that person's going, like, or you knew they'd be safe if Derrick had said like, no, they're going to be safe. And it was, wild.
Yes. So Paola is voted out here. Really just. Oh
yeah. And then when Zach is like, Paola, you suck at everything straight up. And she's like, yeah, I do.
So totally screwed over by Devin in so many ways.
Because Paola didn't do herself a lot of favors, but it's not like she actively played wrong this week. Like she did what she was supposed to do. If like, I don't know what I would have done differently from Paola if I was in her situation up to this point. Like that's like, it sucks that she goes out like that. But like, truly, you have an insane person as HOH and a mastermind that's trying to keep his ally. Like you just get an unlucky draw. I don't know if Paola would have done anything this season, but still.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is I just think like Paola like didn't really bring anything. Like she was fine, but she didn't bring anything in regards to like strategy or just anything. So I mean, yeah, I didn't mind her leaving here because it was just kind of like, okay, well, that's fine.
Yeah. One thing I forgot to mention, that before the vote flipped back to Zach, while Devin was still in charge of the bomb squad, he did make the decision to, he said, you know what, now that we're taking Zach out, got to replace him.
Oh, yeah.
Got to replace him.
With Hayden.
Hayden, why don't you come on up here? So,
and Hayden
There's an alliance called the Bomb Squad. It's been an 8-person alliance. It was first a 6-person bro alliance, and we brought 2 people in, but now we're kicking one of them out. And so we're thinking you should be the replacement. What do you think, Hayden? Hold on. This is happening very
Yeah, he literally was like, this is happening so fast.
I mean, it sounds like yes. It sounds like my answer is yes.
And he was just like, I mean, he was right. Like, first of all, his DR explaining this was so good because he was just like, okay, so first of all, now I have like the blueprint of what the house structure is. And yeah, of course I'm going to say yes, because I'm not going to say no to this. But like, you guys just gave me all the information I need.
Yeah, but then after the vote,
Devin's good mind makes him think that, okay, I brought in Hayden. This is not going to leak. Everything's going to be fine. Like, what strong connection do you have with Hayden that's stronger than what he has with freaking Nicole?
It's just he's a guy.
These sorts of things just don't cross his mind, AJ. But once the vote flips and he is informed by Frankie that Zach is not leaving, he decides he's just going to tell everybody the whole thing. He lets everybody know about the bomb squad and how it formed and what it was. But here's the issue. Because it's coming from Devin, and it's coming from, and Devin is the one telling the story, and Devin is the one that put it together and made all these decisions. It's very easy for the rest of them to go, yeah, that thing? What do you think it was? It was him. He just was randomly inviting people in. He woke us up in the middle of the night to tell us that 2 more people in the alliance. We never thought it was a real thing. And, you know, did people really believe that explanation? To some degree, yes. But many of them kept it in the backs of their minds, and they were really worried about it. One of those people, of course, was Britney, who was like, wait a minute, Derrick, my guy, was in this thing this whole time? And she's never going to forget it. And it's actually going to be the reason she goes home, because she can't forget it, unlike some of the other people who are willing to forget it. But after Paola leaves, Derrick and Nicole win HOH. And this is potential bad news for Derrick, because Nicole is one of the few people that, like Deni, can sort of see through Derrick, a little bit scared of him. The problem is the entire house is against Devin. There's no world for her to make any kind of move that isn't targeting Devin. So when Derrick starts pitching ideas, she's kind of just like, whatever. If he wants to take on this move and take out Devin instead of me, I'm kind of fine with that. And so Derrick pitches this plan. This is when I remember him, the fan base starting to call him King Derrick, and not in a good way, because every decision has to be run through Derrick all of a sudden. Why is he always getting his way? And this is again, he just knows exactly what to do here. And this is, if the previous week when he got Zach to stay was like when he took control, this is when he just shored up all of that power and started to use the twist to his advantage. He pitches to Nicole that he is willing to do this. He's willing to take the shot. He's willing to put up people like Caleb because they were not in an alliance. He persuades her that she should put up Amber. The idea here is that if Nicole puts up Amber, then he can put up Caleb and convince Caleb to throw the Battle of the Block competition to make sure that he retains his power as the HOH. Then he can backdoor Devin. And the way that he goes about
smart.
This, yes,
it's so smart because Caleb doesn't understand that, like, because Caleb thinks like he's just being, a hero or whatever.
Can we talk about Caleb? Like, because this man.
Well, I think let's explain what happens, and then we'll talk about how Caleb interprets it, right? Because Derrick goes to Caleb and he says, so here's what's happening. Obviously, we're backdooring Devin. Obviously. Nicole really wants to nominate Amber, though. And what I said to her is that if you do that, Caleb's going to ask to be nominated so that he can throw it to protect her. And Caleb is like, I should be nominated so I can throw it to protect her.
He literally like, really? Just goes right into his,
really? God. Are you sure about that? And he's like, of course I got to protect my queen. I got to show her, that I get. And so, and he's like, yeah, think about the conversation. So he grabs Amber. He's like, so here's what's happening. Obviously we're backdooring Devin, obviously. But Nicole really wants to nominate you. So what I said was, well, Derrick, nominate me then, so that I can throw the competition so I can protect you. Now, at this point, we've already seen Amber wants nothing to do with Caleb. That he came into this game thinking she is my wife. He's talking about how she is his future wife. And he has approached her saying like, I see the way you look at me. I know. You look at me all the time. And she's like, do I? She's not into him. And he kind of knows this at this point. This is his way of being like, see what I'm willing to do for you. And it's putting her in a very awkward position because in this moment, what is she supposed to say? Like, I hope you don't think I owe anything to you for doing this. She's just going to be like, okay, thank you. I'll be safe. And so Caleb is literally saying things like, she will now see what I'm willing to do. She will know that I'm protecting her. Once he throws the competition and she's safe, and she's like, we're not together now. He's like, don't you know what I did for you? Like, what is it going to take, Amber? It's gross. It's very gross.
It's a lot. I think to me, the grosser thing, and we'll get into it, is the way the other cast members like used that against Amber, like being like, can't you see that what he did for you? He threw his game away for you, and you're like not treating him right. And like, even though they knew that she wasn't into him, and they were totally aware of that, they used it against her to better their games, to go like, to make her game worse. It was a lever
of control for Caleb, who is a very valuable person to control.
Exactly. And that to me was the grosser thing, because it was like, you guys know what's going on here. Don't do that to her. And I do wish, however, that like, if like, it would have been really, and obviously she does not have to do this, but it would have been really nice to see Amber just like use it to her advantage, like use it as a lever of control of Caleb, so that she could get further in the game. But I totally understand understand that, like, you know, if you're not into someone, you're not into someone. Like, leave her
And
alone.
honestly, the unfortunate reality is that, like, it still probably wouldn't work because, like, a guy like Caleb is interested in Amber on his terms, not on hers. And so, like, if even if she tried to use it as leverage, it probably wouldn't work, and then she'd have even more like incels online being like, "Oh, she tried it, didn't she?" You know, so
poor
like,
Amber.
That's why I'm so happy that Amber ultimately got on the challenge, and I heard her rumors she was going to be on All Stars at one point in time before she got dropped. Because literally her story this season is Caleb. Like, that is her narrative. That's what she's going. That was what she was remembered for. And week 5, it got really gross. Like what Melissa was saying, like they were using the fact that Caleb was obsessed with this woman. Like even though like she's clearly no interest to her. Like time after time after time, she said no to this guy. She is not interested in this guy. And even when he hinted that he liked her, she was like, we're shutting this down right now. I'm not interested at all. And he didn't take the hint. Not he couldn't take the hint. He chose not to. He says, it doesn't matter. You're stuck in this house with me, and I'm going to keep making you uncomfortable. And it just hurts my soul, because Amber would cry to these people about how Caleb is making her feel. And these people will take her tears
turn
and
around
weaponize
and
it against her.
Yes,
like,
that's exactly it. They would use, if she would open up to them and she would cry and she would tell them, like, this is so horrible, like, I don't know what to do, blah, blah, blah. They would literally take that conversation they had with her and run to Caleb to make Amber look bad to Caleb and use it against her. And it's like, just like that to me was so frustrating, because it's not game related. It's using like outside factors to influence the game. And it's icky. It's so icky. And it's like, it's not okay. It's not. And like, I hated how like they, in the episodes, they kind of like edited it to be like kind of funny and like, oh, he's just like really loves her, whatever.
Like,
and it's like, it's not funny.
A pickle for her.
Yeah.
No, that's
it's
not cute.
funny. Yeah. It's not cute. It's not funny. And yeah, it's just, that's one of the worst things that happened in this season, I think. But yeah.
Of course, the very famous screenshot, because at the time there was a new show starting on CBS that had a name that was very relevant, and it was constantly being advertised while Big Brother was airing. And so we get this screenshot there. Stalker was the show.
So funny. I remember that going around. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
So with this in place, it all works exactly as intended. Caleb throws the Battle of the Block competition. Derrick remains HOH. Nicole is dethroned. And then Deni actually is the one to defeat Devin in the veto competition. The entire house cheers when Devin loses. And Deni, the Double D Alliance member, then uses the veto on Jocasta, who was up with Caleb. And Devin goes up next to Caleb. Now, this is a pretty straightforward vote, except for the fact that there is one person.
Jocasta says, I always give and now I get to receive. Is that where the famous the one is from? Yeah. That's a famous DR.
She wasn't at the veto meeting, so they used her bow tie and the seat.
Yeah, this is when she was sick too. Yeah,
so funny.
There's one person that does not want Devin to go here, not because he likes Devin, but because he really wants Caleb out, and that is Cody. Because one of the reasons why Caleb thinks that Amber is ungrateful is that despite the fact that he's the one that threw the competition for her, Cody is the one that she's all cuddly with. And he is going to confront Cody about it. It's a whole thing. And Cody's like, I don't want this kid to come after me because he's obsessed with this girl. Like, this is a great opportunity to take him out. But he is talked down by Derrick in one of many situations that is to come, and the audience is going to continue to be frustrated because they would have preferred Devin stay here. The house flip, take out Caleb, Devin stays.
Yeah.
Yes, please. And of course, Derrick is the one like Cody. It's not the time. It's not the time. And he's like, I'm going to do it. I want to flip out. Nope, it's not the time. So Devin is, in fact, voted out here. That is the end of the story for Devin. But what a time.
What a time.
What a player.
Yeah.
Truly, like, such a fun presence on this season. Like,
Very
he kept
exciting.
people on their toes. Like, you did not know what this man was going to do day from day to day. Like, this man was unhinged in all the best ways possible. Because it wasn't like he was like a problematic person. He was just insane game player that you could not trust. And you see people like him in the future, like a Frenchie, but like Devin himself, he had that certain pizzazz about him that it was like, this was such a fun experiment to take. Like, I'm happy he was on the screen. He was a fun person, and I'm sad to see him go this early. But like, honestly, I don't know how much more steam he has in him, because everything, his entire thing has already crumbled.
He did it all.
He did it all.
Yeah.
There was nothing left for him.
Yes.
And I'll be honest, I was like, oh, this season's going to be boring now without Devin. Because pause, what is it? It was like Big Brother 16 in 7 hours, and like half of it is Devin. And he's out with 3. Like,
I mean, it's kind of true though. So Cody and Frankie win the next HOH, and this is when things start to get a lot simpler. Basically, Cody is again going to heavily consider taking out Caleb, but him and Frankie kind of coordinate this. Amber and Jocasta go on the block. This is when there's a Team America task to like nominate a physical threat, and they use Amber as their physical threat. Which is not
it.
No.
Which basically is just, would Amber have gone up here otherwise? Maybe not, right? But the fact that they used Amber, because Amber was like the best shot they had at having a successful test. She is an ally, so he nominates her, kind of anticipating that then she'll be safe and that he'll be able to cross this off the list. But the fact that she's nominated by him in the first place, she's like, "Are you serious? Like, are you for real? Aren't I in the alliance? What's happening?" She's gonna talk to Christine about it, and then Christine's gonna rat her out, and that gets her in some big trouble the following week, which we'll talk about very soon. In the meantime,
it's like high key rich that it came from Christine, because Amber didn't like that she was nominated. And wait until we see later on when they nominate Christine as a pawn. Wait until we see her reaction.
In the meantime, Britney and Victoria are on the block via Cody, and basically, like, Britney is like, at this point, like, okay, Derrick, what's up? She hasn't forgotten that there was a big alliance. It seems like this is only further confirming that there's still a big alliance and that Derrick is probably a part of it. And the fact that she's nominated via Cody only tells her exactly what she needs to know about Derrick's loyalty to her. And she kind of confronts Derrick about this to a small degree. Derrick sees the writing on the wall, and he's like, we probably have to let go of Britney here. She's too smart. She sees through it. She's not willing to accept the lies, so she's going to need to go. She gets the first of these big overnight punishments where she has to kick like 1,000 soccer goals or something along those lines. And in the veto competition, Cody is still heavily considering backdooring Caleb. He really does want to make that happen. And the veto is the Yankees swap veto, which Caleb wins. But he doesn't take the veto. He takes $5,000, leaving the veto with Victoria, meaning Victoria is now going to veto herself off the block and leave open a massive space for Caleb to occupy that seat. Cody really wants to do it, and Derrick talks him out of it.
Like every time.
Yeah. Like, was it, tell me I'm wrong, was it like Britney chose Caleb for house guest choice, and then he chose to take the $5,000 instead of protect her? Or did I make that up in my head?
It's definitely possible. I don't remember that detail. But basically, Deni goes up on the block instead. And this is, I think, one of the big solidifying things for Deni, that he also can't trust Cody and Derrick, given that he is the replacement nominee here. Britney ends up being voted out. I should also mention most of these votes are unanimous or near unanimous. Deni and Jocasta, the only people to vote for Zach in week 2. Otherwise, every other vote has been unanimous, including this one where Britney goes home.
And like again, big ups to Deni, because he was the person that was able to see like, yo, Cody would not have done this on his own. I know this kid. I see how he walks around the house. This would not have been solely a Cody move, because Derrick did not want to have his fingerprints on anything. But Deni was like observant enough to know like if Cody put up him, it was because of Derrick, and Derrick was getting his hands clean of it. And it didn't matter that day. It's like, it's okay, Deni, you're going to be safe, X, Y, Z. He saw clearly where he was positioned in the house, and he wanted to do something about it. I hate the twist because we couldn't do nothing about it. So bigs up to Deni, and like bad on Britney, like because what Britney had was like very smart, very game sense. Like, sure, they might not trust Devin, and we might have all just got rid of Devin, but like, this group of people still hangs out together a lot. These group of people still like rock with each other. Like, maybe there's something still there. If you suspect that, you don't go to the ringleader and be like, hey, I see what you're doing. What's up? Like, you think you're really
unfortunately
cool
for her, he was her connection. He was the only relationship she really had with that group. He was the strongest relationship she had with that group.
And you know what you do? You go to your other relationships outside of the group and be like, hey, remember that big alliance that was fake and not what, fair enough.
Yeah.
You know what, you're right. But still,
I just see she tried, but not enough. And I think like, but I also think like,
again, it's
she
like,
didn't have.
I personally think we get too caught in the weeds of like blaming the people who are on the outs, but like they had very like there are people we can say like Christine and Amber. That
I blame everybody. Don't get me wrong. I think everybody was.
They had no path. They couldn't.
Right, because everybody
even if they won a comp, it wouldn't have mattered.
Everybody wanted to work with them. Like, everyone wanted to be in. They didn't want to be on the outs. So that even if they were on the outs, they were like, no, actually, I might be on the in.
But like, where would they have even had an opportunity? You know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing. Joey was like, no, we need to do something against this alliance. And they was like, no. Then Paola was like, we need to do something. They said no. Brittany, we need to do something. They say no. Amber, no. Like, it keeps going down the line.
But what I'm saying is, even if they had said yes, it wouldn't have mattered. They didn't have the numbers to do anything about it.
The competitions and the numbers, it did not matter. However, like, if we lived in a world where Battle of the Block did not exist, they should have done something different.
Yeah, if we lived in a totally different world.
Yes.
Because this is sort of the thing, right? Like, somebody like Britney is damned if she does, damned if she doesn't. If she doesn't fight back at all, then she was just somebody waiting to be picked off. If she does fight back, then she's stupid for having fought back and putting a target on her back. Like, there really wasn't any leeway here for her. The only people that had any actual shot at fighting back and the chops to do it were Hayden and Nicole. And we will talk about them very shortly.
Couldn't like those guys have all teamed up with Hayden and Nicole and like, done something? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was always the frustrating thing to me. Is
listen, the second they win HOH, let's do it.
But it felt it felt like Hayden and Nicole, like they were like Hayden, Nicole, and Deni were like smart enough to see what was going on, and yet I didn't feel like they did any work to try and pull in anybody else. Like, I feel like they were just kind of like,
as well.
Yeah, but she doesn't count.
By extension, they kind of had Jocasta.
Okay,
they were perfectly willing to work with Britney and those people, but like, when Cody and Frankie and Frankie and Zach are all the HOHs, like 4 HOH, and before that it was Derrick. Like, what are you, like, you're not going to get them to take out their own people. And if you try, then it's going to be you, right? Like, it's a tough spot.
It is a tough spot.
And I'll give Taran this. I'll give Taran this. Like, literally, of all the HOHs, a member of the Bomb Squad was one of them every single time except for once. So it's like, what could we have actually done? Like, you're going to build a power, go against the Power Alliance when you don't actually have power, when you have nothing to do. So I understand the feeling helplessness, and then I might say something, what if someone else runs it back to them and now I'm in trouble? I understand that feeling, but still, at the end of the day, like, I don't remember you fondly, Paola, because you sat there. Like, at least for like the viewing audience, at least leave it saying, like, listen, I tried to do something. I tried. I tried. Like, Britney can, like, at least, even though she wasn't successful, she can at least say, I tried. It didn't work. It was never going to work.
And
it was a futile effort, but I'm playing the game at the end of the day.
The frustrating thing also was like the whole like loyalty that like they're all like, oh, we're gonna be loyal to each other, but it's like nobody was like looking at what happens at the end. Like nobody was like, everyone was like, we're just gonna like barge our way to the end and just take out the little pieces. But it's like, okay, but then what happens? Like I feel like for the most part, the only people that were really thinking about like, okay, then what happens was Derrick. Like,
well,
because
and I would give Derrick this big up. Like Derrick did a really good job in this alliance, making them feel good with this alliance. Like Caleb was like, I'm good. I'm winning this way on this route.
Yeah.
Cody felt good. Frankie was like, no, like this halfway, I'm going to win. Yeah. Like, and I think Derrick bigged them up and bigging up their self ego, being like, they're loyal to me and I'm going to win. Why would I do anything against this?
I also neglected to mention in week 2 into week 3, the detonators were formed. That basically were here. We are the people in the bomb squad that aren't out of our minds. And that was Frankie, Derrick, Cody, Christine, and Zach. And the idea was, in like as Devin was on his way out the door, that the detonators blow up the bomb squad, that they were the core within the alliance. And then you had somebody like Caleb on the outside who was just such a team player. He didn't need the extra incentive because he just so firmly believed that the alliance was good for him. And then you had Amber, who you left on the outside because she was willing to just play ball and had no other choice. And the second she started complaining, they took her out this week when Frankie and Zach won the HOH. And so then you had this detonators inside of the bomb squad. Frankie, this was not Frankie's ideal, but they were still keeping Caleb on the outside, and he still felt good with Caleb. He felt better about Zach now. So he of course felt very good about Derrick. And so he felt like he was pretty well insulated. Derrick, of course, was the real insulated person within that group. Christine thought she was in with Cody and Derrick. And so this was your very classic example of what they call on Survivor an onion structure alliance. Derrick referred to it as a Wi-Fi signal alliance, where it's big on the top and then it slowly starts getting smaller.
Okay, that's cool.
I like it.
So this is a huge part of why this alliance was just so firmly locked in. And
can I talk about another beauty about this too, outside the Onion Alliance? The people on the outside felt good too. Like Victoria and Derrick were locked in for so long. Yeah. What is it? Hayden and Nicole felt like they had a good connection with Derrick and Cody. I don't know if they made that alliance yet, but like
we'll talk about that soon.
Yeah, and then you have Donnie, who is in this thing with Team America with Frankie and Derrick, which only leaves like what Jocasta out there. And what's Jocasta going to do? Love me some Jocasta.
She's going to do nothing.
Yeah. So basically what's happening here is that like, even though you have people like Hayden and Nicole who want to do something about this, they see that there's something in there out there that is a big alliance that they are not a part of. They know this. Britney knows it. There's just not much they can do about it. There's basically two ways you can sort of affect change here. You can either win power and take them out yourself, or you can try to infiltrate and gather allies from that group to turn on the rest of the group. They tried to do both, and both ultimately fail. Partially because the people that they think they can lock in with are Cody and Derrick, for various reasons. Because when you look at, you're not going to get Caleb, you already think you have Christine, you don't. You're looking at Frankie. It's not going to be Frankie. Frankie's locked. You're not going to be Zach. So of course you gravitate toward who are the most reasonable people that we can pull in. And here's the thing: it almost worked. We'll get there soon. In the meantime, Frankie and Zach, they win the HOH. They want to take out Amber this week because they have now heard from Christine that she has been complaining about being nominated, that she's starting to feel like, where is my position in this alliance? And so it's time to take out Amber, and they rat her out to Caleb. They throw her under the bus. They go ahead with their plan to backdoor her. And it all kind of goes according to plan. Christine and Nicole win the battle of the block. Jocasta and Victoria are the people that remain on the block via Frankie's HOH. Hayden wins the veto, takes down Victoria. Amber goes in her place. Amber is then voted out. This is brutal stuff for Amber this week, again, because they are now using all of the ammunition that they've built up with Caleb to like really just lock that in.
It's so horrible.
This is also the very famous moment where at one point early in the game, Amber joked about like if Caleb ate a pickle, she'd be willing to go on a date with him or something along those lines. Caleb is now cashing in that promise much later when she's basically on her way out the door saying, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to eat the pickle, because he apparently hates pickles. And I'm not going to lie, I don't love pickles either, but still,
pickles are great.
The vehemence with which he was disgusted of that with that pickle was absurd. He was like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna eat the pickle, and she was like, no, please don't. I don't want this, please stop. And he was like, you got me, you got me to do it. She's like, I don't want you to do it. He's like, you're getting me to do it, I'll do it. And he eats the pickle, and she's like, oh my god, what have I done?
Poor Amber.
It sucks for Amber. Like, it hurt my soul, and people were egging it on to acting like this was funny and stuff.
It's not funny. It's like I just feel like it's like she tried to be so polite about it, and she tried to be like, let him down easy and all this stuff, and it's like she's locked in a house with him. What is she gonna do? And like I hated that the people like fed into it and treated it like a joke, and they like ruined her game because of it. It's one thing to be like, oh, okay, this guy likes you, you don't like him, and it's kind of this weird, awkward situation, whatever. But then the fact that they weaponized it against her to just completely tank her game, that to me like was the frustrating thing. That to me was so like it wasn't fun. It was sad. And yeah.
Now, this it's very sad, and I know we talk about this week like it's a very straightforward week, but don't forget about the insanity that was a Zach HOH for like a few days.
Oh my god, yeah, he's like the biggest HOH-itis ever. He always
and
was
this
like
contributes to
robe.
What happens the following week as well.
Yes.
But yeah, Zach as HOH is basically the next coming of Devin. He's got all these ideas, and he's got orders for people to follow. But it's not until the following week where that really matters, because the following week is the one and only time in the entire season that somebody not from the bomb squad is the HOH.
The only time? Oh my god.
The only time.
Yeah. The only time. They have one opportunity, and they actually came kind of close to making something happen, and it ended up backfiring pretty dramatically. So there's a lot of different strategies that you can take. Obviously, you can guarantee to put 2 people up. In this case, you have to put 4 people up from the majority, and then have to hope that the veto doesn't happen in a way. I mean, at this point, they could nominate 4 people from the detonators. Then the 5th one could win the veto, save the other one. And like now all of a sudden, like you don't have the numbers anymore. You're screwed anyway. The idea here, Deni and Nicole win the HOH. And they're not entirely on the same page. I mean, it's not like these people are like in lockstep. But the idea is that it would be fantastic to take a shot at power structure. And they are, while Nicole is skeptical of Derrick, she saw how he operated on their first HOH. They feel like they have a good connection to Cody. And via Cody, Derrick. And so if they have to pick their poison, who should we try to pull in while we try to target somebody else? Who should that be? They decide they're going to try to work with Derrick and Cody to take down Frankie, who has a lot of power in this game. And it's a good thought, because again, the structure of this game prevents them from being able to do much of anything. There's a lot you can criticize about this week, especially the way that it plays out. But like their hands were tied behind their back from the start. And the fact that they very nearly managed to do their, puzzle or whatever, like is pretty impressive. They create an alliance called the Rationale with Derrick and Cody. And they actually do get them on board to take a shot. And the idea initially is that they take down Frankie. They backdoor Frankie. They want to do that by nominating Zach. And so Nicole nominates Jocasta and Zach in the hopes that Jocasta will basically make Zach lose the competition, the Battle of the Block competition. And Donnie's nominees of Caleb and Victoria end up winning it, meaning that Zach is now still on the block against Jocasta. And Hayden and Nicole, they have been working on Cody and Derrick for a while at this point. Cody and Derrick are convinced by them. It's time to drop Zach. It's time to drop that whole group and move forward with us instead. And that is the plan going into the veto competition. Zach realizes that he's in a lot of trouble. He loses the competition. This is when he gets his famous kind of moment of just desperate to win that veto competition.
BB Comics.
Was it BB Comics?
BB Comics, yep. And
that was famous when Zach is like, they're literally on the feeds when we're like waiting for Zach to finish, and everybody's like, it's taking forever or whatever. And then they said they heard like stuff shattering or whatever, and then because he threw the comic and it hit the camera and broke a lens or something, or hit a light or something and broke it. And then it's so dramatic on the show. It's so well done where they're like, he's so upset at the end and he's laying there and the camera slowly fades away or whatever. And you just see him in the sea of just, he's so depressed. It was such a good, it was so well done. And that was the first BB Comics.
Speaking of the podcast, I remember, I think it was the day before the eviction on the podcast, Rob and company held a eulogy for Zach. Man, he was such a great character, it was over
we all thought
for
he was
Zach.
Done. Yeah.
Partially the plan fell through with Frankie because the idea they were feeling that they did not have the numbers to get Frankie out next to Jocasta, and so
pause. I'm again very impressed with what Nicole was able to do and Hayden was able to do this week. To come so close to getting a desirable outcome. Why on God's screen there was Jocasta on the block? That.
Well, again, I think part of it was in the hopes that she would lose the Battle of the Block competition and aid them in.
Wouldn't it not matter though? Because it's if Deni and Nicole are
again, they weren't really entirely on the same page.
But shouldn't they have tried to get out Caleb? That I feel that could have been a potential.
I mean, Caleb was seen as less of a threat at this point. Frankie was the real threat here. And at this point, that was it was Frankie and Derrick were the two power players of the game. And if they really wanted to make an impact, taking a shot at Frankie and then ultimately failing and then getting Zach instead, which still would have been a shot across the bow, wouldn't have been that bad either. The issue is that Derrick literally just changed his mind at the last second. He had a conversation with Caleb where Caleb was preaching loyalty and he was like, these people are so stupid. Hayden and Nicole are way smarter. Maybe I should just roll the dice and hope we can get these two out and work with these other people. And so at the last minute, he changed his mind and they blindsided Hayden and Nicole and they voted out Jocasta instead of Zach.
Oh, man. I personally was really glad because I wanted Zach to stay. I wanted them to take a shot at the Alliance and I was really glad that they did, but I was not this shot. This is not what I want. As they get Caleb out or something. I don't want Zach to go.
Yeah.
Zach going at this time would have been good for Nicole because Zach was not a Nicole fan. They weren't working closely together. In fact, he actively antagonized her multiple times in the season. Pause. I love Zach. I think I would have hated living with that kid.
I know. I know. Yeah, if he wasn't a fan of you and you just thought it was so many times he just antagonized people and it was just it was great watching him. I didn't love watching him antagonize people, but he was so much fun to watch. But I do feel if I was in the house, he probably would try to antagonize me and I'd be very frustrated.
So instead, the only HOH to not be won by a Bomb Squad member ends with a Jocasta eviction. And that is the true result of the Battle of the Block. I mean,
which like I was actually okay with, because I was like, well, Jacasta's not really giving me anything, so like that's fine. She can leave. But like, yeah, I see your point.
Like this is what happens. They have way fewer opportunities, and the one time they do actually manage to have the HOH power, they are still powerless in the sense that they still needed so many other things to go right in order to actually take out a valuable target, and instead they took out Jocasta.
We can't forget Jocasta speaking in tongues, by the way, during that competition, during that veto. Do you remember that, where she was like, just everyone was like, what is happening here? So that's very memorable.
That's the set.
But other than that, not that much.
She also has a very famous gif, Jocasta.
That's true. I've always give and now I get to receive. That one's great.
Well, the look from like behind the couch.
What's that
when it's on her when she's like,
yeah.
Oh yeah. That one is good.
I'll try to find it. Maybe
her kissing Nicole on the lips.
That
that's
one,
a good one. So she does have a lot of moments, but not really gay related moments.
So Jocasta's out here. This is part of a double eviction, and it works out perfectly. That Derrick and Cody blindside Nicole and Hayden, and in the event that Hayden, wins this HOH, or that like something goes wrong and somebody else wins this HOH, they could be in a lot of trouble because they just betrayed all these people. But instead, Caleb wins it. It was the right call. Caleb wins, and they take out Hayden. Just like that.
So sad. I was so sad because I really saw a lot of potential in Hayden, and I was just like, he's got it. He sees what's going on in the house. Like, he knows. He just doesn't really have any, like, he doesn't have any power. He doesn't have anything to do with it. But like, he can make something happen. I really truly thought that, like, with Hayden there, the outsiders like had a chance. And then he just immediately got kicked out, and I was very upset about it.
No, like, and I think Terrence said this earlier. Like, if someone was going to do something against the Power Alliance, it was going to be Hayden this season. And he was smart enough, he was athletic enough that he could have done something about it. I think it's just unlucky with how the tides turned, and it was like Derrick realized, Hayden, you're too good. You have too much potential, and I can't be playing with people with potential. I need to play with people like Caleb. I need to play with people like Victoria, like not someone who will sniff me out at the end of the day and take me out.
It's also interesting that he was never like, I mean, obviously Devin approached him about joining late, but like he was never included in any of those like bro alliances. Like, I understand like Donnie wasn't included either, but like that makes sense because he's not really like a bro, but like Hayden was never included. And I always found that to be very strange because it's like, what was wrong with Hayden? Why not? I don't know.
Yeah. I wonder what Jocasta thinks about that.
Oh yeah, that's so good. It's so good. She's just like looking.
Oh, Jocasta.
Hayden was kind of weird. Like that was the vibe.
Can you tell me I'm wrong? When I was rewatching this, like, he's low key giving me like Quinn vibes. Like if Quinn had an older cousin.
Yeah. Okay, I don't see it, guys. I don't see it. No, you guys are all wrong. I felt like Hayden was extremely like friendly and easy to get along with, and he seemed like he was just like he was.
Are you saying Quinn's not friendly and easy to get along with?
I mean, listen, I say weird because I think they named their alliance the Weirdos or something. But like the reality is Hayden was normal in a house full of like muscled up bros, you know what I mean? Like he was just a chill dude who didn't get along with like the guys that were walking around like this, like, you know, like Caleb, like strutting around the house like he was, you know.
Melissa, you hanged out with the guy. He was normal.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that is true. He was very normal. So maybe, if that's the case, then yeah. And yeah, he wasn't like bro-y, I guess. So like that makes sense that like he wouldn't gravitate towards them, and he was hanging out with like Nicole and Christine.
Yeah,
which by the way,
did
like
not have the bro gene.
We never mentioned this, but like Nicole and Christine's friendship and their like alliance together in the beginning was like so great. People loved them together. They were very fun to watch, and they were like the people were rooting for them. And Christine, like, it was interesting to see like where and why like the public kind of like turned on Christine, but for the longest time, like people really liked Christine. They liked the Nicole and Christine dynamic and the friendship and, you know, them hanging out together. And like, it was interesting, and we'll get to it later, but like, yeah, like I just wanted to make sure I make clear that like Christine was really loved in the beginning. And people loved Christine and Nicole together, and they loved Christine, Nicole, and Hayden and that whole dynamic. And yeah, I don't know.
But like Christine did some shady stuff. Like what was it? She tried to break up Hayden and Nicole at one point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like at that point, no, that's where I think it started to turn, where it was like, okay, why are you trying to like, she told Nicole that Hayden and Victoria made out. And that she was like, oh, I'm so disgusted by that. It's so gross. And then like Nicole went to Hayden, like, is that true? And Hayden's like, no, obviously not. And she's like, okay, now I don't trust Christine. And that's where that whole friendship ended up kind of like disintegrating. But Christine made some moves that like, I think were, I mean, I was trying to track like what the various things were as we went along, like that made the public really turn on her. And so we can talk about that as we're going, but yeah, that is one of the things I think is like
I
that initial turn.
I think Nicole was just America's sweetheart. Like she was such a sweet, like country little girl, and like she was an underdog. Like, and she was an underdog, and not only that, she was smart. She saw what was happening, and the fact that Christine was like undermining her, and like every time she tried to get going, Christine shut it down and was writing everything out to the major alliance. Like I get why the public turned on her. I don't know if she deserved what she got at the end, but like I get it. Yeah,
no, there were various points that like Christine did things where it was like, why did you do that? No, that's not good. And I think also the fact that it was never like in her best interest, and it was always like, it wasn't like, oh, but it makes sense from a game perspective. It was like
it was everything Andy was doing without the benefit of Andy then winning the season,
right?
And being
exactly.
like it was all for a purpose.
Like it was all worth it. Yeah. Totally.
So Christine and Nicole win the next HOH, and so this is of course the famous moment where Nicole, an initial HOH, is dethroned, but in quite dramatic fashion, Nicole is dethroned because once again, really, without Hayden there, her threat level drops, and the idea that that Frankie might need to be taken down a peg still exists in the minds of Derrick and Cody. And so when they come up with a plan to potentially take down Frankie, like that's actually the plan, right? Nicole nominates Caleb and Frankie, and all eyes are on Frankie when he drops a bomb. I'm
oh my gosh,
actually a social media mogul and Ariana Grande's brother.
Ooh.
That was such a dramatic week. That was so dramatic because like leading up to that, it was like they were all finding out that Frankie was lying. Like Zach found out that Frankie was turning against him and was going to vote him out. And Frankie was admitting to all of this stuff. And Frankie, like it was, I mean, we're skipping over like some of the most dramatic stuff because it was like
we are over 2 hours in.
We're all turning on Frankie. No, I'm sorry, but this is important, Taran. We're all turning on. Look, you know me, and I'm all about like let's like efficiently get the podcast so that I can go make dinner or whatever. But like this is important stuff. We are skipping over the fact that they were like, we are going to throw the competition so that.
Well, no, we're not skipping that. Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
So that Frankie is, but he did this before he admits he's the social media guy. That before that happens, right? Isn't it?
Well, the plan to throw it, yeah.
No,
the idea is that he throws it so that they can take Frankie out, and he catches wind of the fact that they're coming after.
No, it's but before he doesn't reveal it until afterwards when he's safe from the Battle of the Block thing.
That is true.
We're skipping that. And that's
okay.
Like the most
listen, we were not intentionally skipping that.
Okay, well, I'm just telling you that this is the most dramatic thing that happened was that they were like, we're getting Frankie out. Zach was like, I'm against him. We're doing this. Like, there's this big plan. They go to have Caleb go to throw the competition. And Frankie looks to Caleb and is like, we're going to win this. We're going to get this. And Caleb is like, Caleb won't look at him. And he's like, Caleb, look at me. Caleb, look at me. And he's like, Frankie, I have to do this. Frankie, I have to do this. And he's just like looking like, like this. And Frankie's like, no, you are not going to throw this competition. And he's like, Frankie, you lied to all of us. And he like is so dramatically like, it's this dramatic confrontation at the competition. And he's literally just like, you're like, you can't, please, Caleb, you can't do this. He's like, you've lied to all of this. It's your time to go, blah, blah, blah. Caleb goes to and sits down. And then
he sits down.
Frankie goes and is like, I'm just going to do this on my own, which coincidentally, like, it's actually a competition that's easier to do on your own because you're not like fighting with the other person on the pulleys. Yeah. And so literally, he's like, he does the entire thing by himself, but it's so close. It gets down to the very, very end. And then Frankie wins it and he screams. And also he says out loud, like, this is for you, Grandpa, and this is for you, Ariana. Go Team Grande, which like you'd think like Ariana Grande, whatever. But at the time, she wasn't that big. She wasn't that big of a star. She was like a Disney star at the time. So it wasn't that big star. I mean, people knew who
she's not who she is today.
Not who she is today. I'll be very clear on that. But it was crazy because it was just like, oh my God. So then Zach's mad. Frankie comes back in and they get into a whole confrontation where he's like, you lied to me. You turned against me. Like, it was this whole dramatic thing. And Frankie's like, it's Big Brother. Of course I'm going to lie. He's like, okay, fine. I'm the biggest liar. And then Zach goes, you liar. And he goes, yeah, well, I'm a safe liar. And it was so good. And then that's when Frankie is like, I'll reveal my whole thing. I'm a social media mogul, which I also could not remember for the life of me every time I saw that clip. Why Derrick was in a suit. And it turns out it's because he was hosting the competition as like the NFL like commentator or something. But I was like, why is Derrick in a suit? Anyway, they don't really know who Ariana Grande is, and
most of them did not. Yes,
he's like, well, Amanda Grande, and he's like Ariana.
Famously, anecdotally at least, in the Battle of the Block competition, when Caleb sits down, they very quickly realize it's that thing where you're both people were supposed to hold one side of the string to lift up a ball over a maze. And so Frankie had to do it by himself after Caleb sat out. Again, anecdotally, they very quickly realized that it was an advantage for Frankie to be able to control both sides. And Caleb tried to then come back in so that he could screw Frankie up instead of sit out, and was not allowed to.
Yes. I remember that. That was so crazy where it was like, okay, but why? Like, that doesn't make any sense from the rules. It's like, oh, but if you sat down, you can't come back in. It's like, why? There's no reason
because it
for
was
that
more
to
dramatic
be the
for TV.
I mean, it is way more dramatic for TV.
Like, it was very dramatic
by himself. It was very well done. But like at the time, I was so frustrated that like that he wasn't allowed to like get back in. It doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
Like almost every other Battle Block competition, you could not have done it by yourself. Full stop. So it's interesting that this was the one that Frankie got, was the one where he could be advantaged of doing it by himself. But like I think the aftermath of this Battle of the Block competition was so insane, with Frankie just trying to spill everything to the table, like his truth about his family, what he does for a living, X, Y, and Z. And like, I'm gonna be honest, like this was my favorite Zach moment, was his confessional. When he was like, oh, what am I even doing? He's donating to kids in Africa. He already won fan favorite. What am I doing here? Like, oh my!
Give him the money already. I'm wasting my time here. Oh, it's so good.
This is the most like raw and real that Zach feels in the entire season. Like all season long, Zach's been like doing the hand motions in the diary room, talking about the Fruit Loop dingus. We talked about like he had all the energy but none of the words, because it was like so much of this was just like, all this bluster. And then when he finds out about Frankie's true identity, he just loses it. I mean, it's the most like real moment that he has on the show, and it's a very good moment. I've got well, never mind, it's not working. I almost had the clip ready to go. Here we go. You're not gonna show you the audio, but you can just see Zach in the diary room, just like he's he's losing it, and it's so okay. We're just apparently not working.
Why you want to buffer YouTube?
Come on,
go look up the clip, y'all.
Come on, you got to look it up.
He's screaming, he's crying, he's like tears are coming out his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
it's so good. And something else I do want to point out that I thought was very interesting was that like Derrick says when Frankie reveals it and everyone like Caleb's pissed or whatever, and Frankie's like, why are you so mad? And Derrick's like, well, most of us are who we say we are. And he says most of us are who we say we are. And he doesn't like, he specifically doesn't say like we are who we say we are. He's like, well, most of us are who we say we are. And it's like, well, yeah, conveniently you're not. You haven't revealed that you're a cop, but oh man. But yeah, no, Zach's DR, it's one of the best DRs of all time. Mm-hmm. It's such a good one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So ultimately Nicole takes the hit here. Zach, Zach ends up, being very, very frustrated, but winning the veto. And because him and Deni ended up losing, because this again was like, oh well, not only is this whole thing happening, Frankie's revealing his true identity, but I'm now still on the block. He ends up winning the veto, and Nicole replaces him, so it's Deni and Nicole on the block, and Nicole is sent home for the first time, right after Hayden.
Which also we never talked about Zach's like whole like Fruit Loop Dingus speech, which is like very famous, and we have to give it to him. Like I don't like it because I just feel like I don't like any of Zach's like big speeches like that, because I feel like it was always like the Bomb Squad or Team America like egging him on to do it because they knew it would be bad for him. And so to me, I don't like that sort of stuff, because I was just like, oh, come on, like this is just like to benefit them and not you. But yeah, it is famous that he said that. And so obviously it's going to be like a quote for like ever.
Like Zach is a camera hog. Like he's one of these people that will like think of what's a good TV moment and let me do it. And
well, that's why when he's like, what am I doing here? It was like, this guy, like this is supposed to be my show, right? Like,
yeah.
Like he really does the main character. And
he also specifically pointed out like he already won fan favorite. You know what I mean? Like it's like the fact that he specifically called that out. Like obviously, like Zach wanted, that's what he wanted. Which like I understand, but like to specifically say that.
Yeah. Well, the following week, we saw Derrick and Frankie win the co-HOHs. And they basically like are able to reconnect this week. Obviously, everyone turned on Frankie. The entire house was against Frankie. So once again, now Frankie found himself in the position of being an outsider, needed to find allies. And who is the person Frankie reaches out to? Derrick, his co-HOH at the time. They also bond over the fact that they have recently lost family members. And they've been in Team America this whole time. So Derrick was the obvious choice here. And Frankie decides to take a shot at Caleb and Cody are the initial noms there. While Derrick puts up Christine and Deni. Deni not pleased about this. Not pleased. Of course, this eventually comes back on to Zach. Frankie wins the veto. He takes down Caleb to put up Zach. They kind of basically like turn all of the like Frankie bad stuff into Zach bad because Frankie was winning so much power, and so they got the group back together by being like, let's just all blame Zach for this. Zach will take the hit, and Zach will go home, and we can all be a big happy family again.
Yeah, I mean, so wait, is this when Christine throws the competition, the battle of the block?
No,
Deni?
She wins with Deni.
Right? Yeah, she wins it.
Or yeah, no, but she was trying to throw it.
She tried to throw it.
Yeah, that was so frustrating, and I feel like that was another nail in Christine's coffin right there, where it was like she's like laughing in the DR about it. People were so mad, and she's like handing them the thing, and Donnie has to win it on his own. And it's so sad to watch because Donnie realizes it's going on. She makes it so obvious, and he sees this happening, and it was so sad, because people loved Donnie, and she's just like laughing and trying to throw it. Like it was just not a good look, and it made me so frustrated to watch. There was also like a brief thing with Victoria where Zach spilled his guts to Victoria, which like at the time I was like, oh, this is good. Like he notices that like he's on the outs. He knows that like he needs to like look elsewhere. And then he like immediately like comes clean to like Derrick about it or whatever. And like lies and says Nicole was the one to say it to her or something. And Victoria's like, I didn't say anything, Zach. I wasn't going to tell anyone anything. You were the one who made this stuff up. And he comes clean. He's like, okay, yeah, I actually did lie about this and I made it up. And I said that Nicole told me or whatever. And it's just like, okay, Derrick handled it so well and didn't need to actually reveal anything about that, whether it was true or not what Zach said, because it all came down to Zach just like admitting that he like made up this story about it, even though all the information he gave to Victoria was true about Derrick.
Classic sort of like manipulation tactic. So basically with Zach kind of like, in a tricky spot now, he reveals too much to Victoria. Victoria's like, what the hell, Derrick? Derrick calls a meeting and has them hash it out, and then finds the areas that he can use to discredit Zach that he's willing to admit, and then just trashes Zach's entire credibility, and pulls Victoria even closer to him, and it's just more reason for Zach to leave here. This is also, as Melissa mentioned, the famous like black box battle of the block. Despite Christine trying to throw it, Donnie manages to win anyway, and further cement his fan favorite status there. And yeah, again, it is ultimately Zach that takes the fall here this week.
You have Zingbot this week, by the way, which is Kathy Griffin. She was like this was like the best Zingbot has ever been. And she did her zing on Zach was so
it wasn't
good.
The best Zingbot ever been. The best Kathy Griffin has been.
Okay, well, she does great, but I honestly thought that this was like the zing for Zach was so good, where it was like, what do you call someone who's not afraid to cry, wears pink, and cuddles with men? You call them Zach. That was so good. Anyway, this was Zingbot, so that was exciting. And then they used the Team America twist, which obviously America does not want to be used against Zach, but they used it as a way to target Zach, which is like, everyone was so up in arms. We were like, this is not what we want for a Team America. What are you doing? Because this is the mission where they have to hide all the clothes. Then they all blame Zach and say he's the saboteur. It was Zach. It was Zach. And everybody in the house is like pissed at him. And they use that to be like, Zach, you're a saboteur. We have to target you. It's like every time Team America gets a mission, they do it to do something we don't want them to do. It was so frustrating.
It's frustrating, but like Zach did a lot of this to himself. Like, I don't know how he made it this far. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, he should have gone home a couple of times before now, because he was just such a chaotic mess of a person.
He's not a good player.
Rubbing people bad, actively bad player.
Yeah, he was bad. He was bad.
Yes,
but he was entertaining.
So entertain. Yes. At this time, that was my number one criteria. Like, are you entertaining me?
And also this was such a bad move for Frankie. I really feel that Frankie should have been he should have like seen Zach for what he is, which is like
Frankie
a loyal
week two.
Like Frankie just like he just wanted to like be in with the other guys or something. I don't know, but like Zach would have done anything for Frankie. Zach was like a puppy dog to Frankie, and Frankie could have used him. Like, none of the other guys were as loyal to Frankie as Zach was. And yes, he was chaotic, and yes, he did wild things. But if Frankie just kept him in, like, he would have been totally loyal to him the entire time. And I think this was a huge mistake on Frankie's part, especially the fact that this was on Frankie's HOH, which is a total mistake. He should not have taken out his closest ally. It's just like, this is where Frankie's game
to be fair, Zach was hardly his closest ally at this point.
But he was.
And barely had been for most of the season.
No, No, he was absolutely loyal to him. But Frankie kept doing stuff like that was anti-Zach that would then make Zach turn on Frankie. But if Frankie had just been like, yes, you're my closest ally, and played with him like Derrick plays with Victoria, I absolutely think he would have been totally loyal to Frankie the entire time until the end.
I do agree. I think that Frankie makes a mistake from very early on and never really relents this mistake of like not using Zach as much as he could have tried to. But yeah, I mean, I would say ultimately like Derrick and Cody had more control over Zach than Frankie kind of ever did, I would say. But that's mostly because Frankie never tried that hard with Zach.
He didn't.
Who knows what would have happened if he had tried harder.
He didn't. And he had it right in the palm of his hands with this Zanky thing, which we like have not even mentioned, which I will have to say was like so exciting. Like at the time, like it was such a fun like showmance. I don't know. Like it was just like every week it was like, what is happening with them? What is going on? It was so fun to see them like flirting. Like, I'm sorry, I was a Zanky stan. So that like, I was like constantly trying to figure out what was happening. My friends and I were all like talking like, what is this? Oh my God. It was just like such a unique thing to see on Big Brother. You don't see that very much. And even Julie Chen in Zach's interview, she said at its best, Zanky was the greatest showmance the show has ever seen. That's what she said, which like, I mean, maybe.
I mean, if they really believe that, maybe they should try putting, a few more gay people into the house. I don't know.
I would love that. I would honestly love that. It would be so much fun. But yeah, like I thought it was so much fun. I loved them together, and I was so angry when Frankie betrayed Zach because I felt like it was such just a dumb move. Like I feel like it was like not only am I upset because I feel like Zach trusted him and Zach was like a puppy dog to him and he just totally betrayed him, but I felt like it was a bad move on Frankie's part. Sorry, I'll let this one go because I know we're going too long, but that's like very important that I get that out there.
Well, I mean, I guess luckily for us, the season really just like gets pretty straightforward for me.
Yeah, true. Also, the cheers for Zach. You hear the cheers, like the biggest cheers I've ever heard. And when he comes out and goes to Julie Chen, like and the people like listening in, like the other house guests were like, whoa, they loved him. They heard it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true.
But again, like Taran said, like after Zach left, like who was there? Like who was there to like shake stuff up and do crazy stuff? Like Zach wasn't changing the status quo, but at least he was like doing stuff that made people stay on their heels. Like at this point in time, like it was like, okay,
interesting stuff.
Like, it was a slow ride to the finish here. From there, Cody wins the next HOH.
Jury buyback.
Yes, following the jury buyback. That was very important to the season. That had a huge lasting impact.
Yeah, right. I
Nicole
thought
comes
Zach
back
would come
into the
right
game.
back in, and he did not. And then Jocasta and Nicole kiss.
Yep.
Very romantic.
Nicole comes back into the game, gets nominated by Cody the next HOH alongside Deni. Cody also wins the veto. Deni feels very betrayed by Cody. It's a very sad thing. This is a sort of emblematic of the audience's frustration with Derrick throughout the season, which is that like all season long, a narrative that you'll hear often is that Derrick lied in his diary rooms. And that's because from very early on, Derrick was saying things like, well, I need to make sure Zach stays, even though that's not what Deni wants, because I think that with Zach, I'll be able to protect Deni better. Like he'd be
Deni
acting like
so many times.
Yeah, he'd be acting like he was doing things in Deni's interest because of Team America. Like, hey, we're a secret alliance, America, and I'm doing this for Deni. In the meantime, like on the feeds, like whispering poison into people's ears to make sure they didn't listen to Deni, and then ultimately stealing Cody to the task of taking Deni out for him, all the while being like, it sucks that this has to happen. You have to do this, Cody. Oh man, I can't believe this is happening, America. Oh my God.
Yeah. And also this was the week.
I think this week is actually very very much shows like why Cody lost this season. Like because Cody like had power. Like and Deni felt good with Cody and Cody was affirming Deni, and then he just goes and blindsides Deni because Derrick said this was the better thing to blindside him instead of actually doing what Cody wanted and like standing on his own 2 feet. And like truly why he lost was because he was seen as nothing more than a proxy for Derrick to make moves because Cody can win stuff. And if Cody like did a couple things where it's like, okay, I rock with Derrick, but like I also have my own mind. Well, Derrick had took him to the final. Well, Cody took Derrick to the final too, so it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I think he would have had a stronger showing, a better chance of winning this season if he more stood on business and like done stuff in his self-interest than doing what many people viewed as what Derrick wanted.
Also, this was the week when Team America was given the mission to like create their own mission that will impress America. And Deni was like, I think the mission should be save Deni and to keep Team America together.
And America would have loved it.
And Frankie and Derrick's like, oh, maybe, you know, like he's like saying that, but obviously doesn't want to do that. Frankie is like, we're not doing that. And in the DR, he's literally like, it's a great DR because I'm sure that he like wasn't intending for this to be used as a DR, but he's like doing his makeup, not even looking at the camera. And he's just like, he's doing his makeup and he's like, America would never come up with the mission, save Deni. Like, come on, that is not something that they would do. And he's like talking like as if he doesn't know that he's gonna, like, he's not doing his like Frankie persona. He's doing like, just like putting on makeup and being like, America would never want to save Deni. And then he comes up with the idea of like, America wants us to put on a play. We're going to put on a play. And everyone was like, we do not want a stupid play. We want something that affects the game. What are you doing? And then when Julie goes to reveal, like they have to ask, like, Julie, like she says, what would you want for your have not food? And they have to say apple pie. And if she says, yes, you get apple pie, that means they succeeded at the mission. And if they say no, she says, no, you don't get apple pie. That means they failed. And America has said, you don't get your money. And she was like, that would be a resounding no. And we were all like, yeah, like they totally like, of course. And you could see Deni smiling because he knew that their stupid play wasn't what we wanted. Mm-hmm. And obviously we wanted him to be saved.
Mm-hmm.
Also, then afterwards, there's the kiss. Oh, it's so romantic.
So romantic.
That's so funny. And then Deni leaves and Frankie and Derrick, like Frankie turns to the camera and is like, well, we're Team America now. You're just going to learn to love us.
Like Team America was nothing without Deni. Like, let's get that straight.
Like literally, like we would have kicked Frankie out of Team America like right away. And like I have to give Frankie credit. Like he is such a great, like watching it now, he's such a great personality, like for the show. Like you need him. You start off loving him and he's so much fun and he's like a great happy narrator. And like as the season goes on, he turns into such a villain, which is so fun to watch. It like adds such a cool dynamic to the season. And he like you can see his DRs get more and more like villainous. Like especially with that one with him putting on the makeup and everything. It's like you see this like change in him. I don't know. It's like very interesting. It's like, it's such a great, I absolutely think that he was a great add to the season as frustrating. And as much as I hated him at the time, like, I'm so glad he was there. It was great.
Like, I don't know what the season would have been without Frankie, but like,
totally.
Zach was performative. Frankie was also very performative as a person.
Oh,
like he tried to play it for the America. And I think what made it good is like, he really truly believed like America still loved him and him with his social media followers.
But then he didn't.
Had his back.
But then he was like, America, you're just, even if I don't care if you hate me, like you're going to learn to love me is like what he said. And it was interesting because he was like, he would tell like Christine not to be nice to Nicole when she was on her way out and doing all this like this stuff that was just so, I don't know. And then like Derrick, on the other hand, he's talking to every single person that's going to leave. He's acting like a friend to them and being like, look, I'm here for you. Like, all this other stuff. Like he constantly was thinking of the game. And I feel like Frankie was like doing everything that was making people like not want to vote for him in the end. But anyway.
Well, Deni leaves, followed the next week by Caleb winning the HOH, nominating Nicole and Christine. Christine wins the veto. Victoria goes up in her place. Nicole is voted out here. Very famously, Nicole has that moment with Derrick where she's like, you're the Dan of the season. He's like, what are you going to say that to me for? But like the reality is they're always taking out Nicole here. Like,
yeah, it's not like, oh, if Nicole just had kept her mouth shut, they would have kept her. Like, no.
Nicole was always going.
I mean, maybe they take a shot early at Christine or Frankie, but like this was probably always going to be Nicole regardless. And that's it for Nicole for now. She really just had no life in the game after she was evicted. But she really was probably the biggest threat to Derrick's game in the entire season, apart from Frankie. Somebody on the outside of the bomb squad, I should say. And we do see her come back and have a lot of success on the show. Derrick wins the following HOH. And nominates Christine and Victoria. Frankie wins this veto. Frankie turns out to be harder to take out than you would have liked. That's not the right one. And so Christine ends up taking this hit because they're not going to take out Victoria. Around this time, they are talking a lot about, and they've been talking about this before too, but a lot about like, hey, we're not going to vote out Victoria, but she better not be final two. She better not be final two. If you take somebody like Victoria, then let me tell you, Victoria is gonna win. That's what we're trying to say. That was kind of like Derrick's way of like justifying the reason of like justifying keeping her around, is that like, hey, she's good to keep around for now. Obviously, we're not going to take her to the end. Nobody would do that. And to also try to insulate himself against the idea that somebody else would take Victoria over him, obviously, which we saw. But this is the end of Christine here. That they couldn't get Frankie, they got Christine, and
Christine going out, like that was very dramatic.
Talking about overhearing the audience.
Yeah, they all said like we must have made the right choice. They literally said that because it was like so many boos. She got booed so intensely.
So there's been a running storyline for a little while that she has been cuddling a lot with Cody. A lot of the women got in trouble for doing this. And she was one of them, primarily because she had a husband at home. They really did her. They had like a husband segment
where they like showed him and her whole family.
Yeah. And her mom was like, I don't like this. Her husband was like, I wish she wasn't doing this.
Yeah.
Like they literally threw her under the bus.
Yeah, it did not. It was bad. And then like, so online at the time, like everybody was like, we're really, really mad at Christine and Frankie. That was like, people were pissed. Like people were really mad. It was not just like, oh, Christine's like being rude to her husband or whatever by doing this, so we're mad at Christine. Like the narrative now is that like people booed Christine only because of the husband thing. And that was not the case at the time.
That was just sort of like the moralizing version of justifying why they hated Christine, right? Like because they hated what she did in the game, and so this was a reason to hate her more than that.
Yes, exactly.
Like if she was cuddling with Cody, but she was working with Nicole and Haiti and Deni, they wouldn't have booed her. They would have not cared that she was cuddling with this man. But like she's doing what I don't
like her. Yeah.
Yeah. It's insane to make this type of moral judgment on Christine. And I don't know. They might have. I didn't watch the feeds when at this point in time if Christine crossed the line. Like her husband said, I wish he didn't hold his hand and stuff like that. But it's like I don't know if we have the standing to be like, Christine, you charlatan, how dare you be cuddling with this other guy? You need to wear the scarlet letter at this point.
There was no kissing. There was nothing like further than just like cuddling. And like, obviously like I wouldn't do it, but like, it wouldn't be enough for me to like boo you. Like, I don't know. It's just like you do you.
We have had a ton of examples
to
we've not only that, but like it's sticking to the same lane. Even there's a ton of people on this show who have outright cheated on their significant others, and been completely unapologetic about it. And those people have not had any blowback almost whatsoever. Like there was something specific about this that really irked people, and it was the fact that it was attached to the strategy. The idea that she was like throwing away other people's games because she had a crush on Cody was just very frustrating to people, and so they really needed to take it out on her.
The way that she was like, she betrayed her friend Nicole, which was a fan favorite. She intended to throw the challenge for Deni, which was a fan favorite. Like she gave a very rude goodbye message to Zach, which was a fan favorite. So like she was doing all of this stuff, meanwhile being at the bottom of the alliance, where people were like, it's not like, oh, well, we can justify all this stuff because she's going to win and she's doing really well. She was at the bottom of the alliance. We knew they were going to take her out first. So it was all for nothing. And so everybody was very frustrated with her online. And at the time, the people were saying like, we want to boo Christine and we want to boo Frankie when he gets out. And there was intent, quote unquote, like people online were saying like, I'm going to be at the finale. I'm going to boo, blah, blah, blah. And then this is what I heard was that the finale for Frankie was then a closed finale where they did not allow people to come, and it was just like production or whatever. And like
after Christine, like they stopped allowing boos, and they did what they theoretically needed to do to prevent boos from happening, which means that in terms of Big Brother US, the people who have now received boos, Aaron, Grease, and Christine.
Like not comparable, but also like even then, Christine was not playing a winning game. Like that's the worst part about this entire thing. Like when Christine got to that jury house, she got a negative reception. Like those people were not voting for her to win. Like she was playing, like they viewed this woman as ruining their game. We trusted you and you betrayed all of us just to do what? Be at the bottom of this other alliance. Like how can we respect that type of gameplay for someone like you? So it's like Christine got the worst of every single world.
It sucks because I feel bad for Christine because she got booed. Nobody else got booed after this because she was the first one. And then they didn't allow boos after that. And so it was like, it makes it look like, oh, well, Christine's the bad one and the rest of us are all fine. Like, or whatever.
I mean, I would actually like, I think it's the correct decision to not allow boos. It shouldn't have happened with Christine, but I'm not going to say that they shouldn't have stopped it afterward.
I agree. No, I totally agree. I'm not saying we should boo them. Like, I mean, honestly, it's like stupid, but I feel bad for her because it's like, it makes it look like she's the only one. And like, we wanted to boo Christine, it's like, that just seems wrong. Like, I don't know. I don't think that was the case, that only Christine deserved boos.
Like, certainly. And I understand that people were upset that like even moving forward, like they changed it. So it's like, you can't have a reaction. They're like, no, we need to have our genuine, real reaction to the people we feel. But like, it really shouldn't, because I don't like the psychological toll. I remember Christine was on a podcast later on about what that did to her mentally. And I was like, this woman did not deserve like the afterward pain and suffering that she had to go through and work through because of what we didn't like her game decisions. You know how many people play Big Brother that hated their game decisions? Like, listen.
I know, I totally agree.
People point to like international versions because it's a very common occurrence on international versions for people to be voted out of the house by the audience and then receive boos on their way out of the house. But first of all, I don't like that either. But like more importantly, Big Brother US is not an international version. These people are being voted out of a house by their peers and then getting locked up into sequester, into a jury house for the next month or so, with no more contact or support system. Like this is not the same thing. And I do not think it is, these shows do enough to the contestants' mental health that we do not need to be like doing that to them. So
I think this was wrong.
Yes.
So
and then it makes everybody in the house feel like, oh, well, she's bad. Like, whoa,
afterward, Cody was like, is that me?
Yeah, my fault. So bad. Cody was like crying when they were like, "Oh yeah, well, this had something to do with you, Cody," and he's like, "What?"
They're like, "Well, it was a little much." He was like, "Really?" So this is the famous rewind week.
Oh boy.
Where Frankie wins the HOH and the veto. But there's a twist. There's a big button. Should you press the button? Caleb says, yeah, let's Judy chop it. This is we'll talk a little bit more about Caleb in just a second, but he has had a redemption arc on the show, and is now a fan favorite, and will later be asked to play Survivor as well, multiple times.
Twice. Like, what are we doing here? Like, this,
in the meantime,
like, we're pretending the first half of the season did not exist. Like, just because this man stayed in here for like longer than he actively should have, don't mean like, oh, he can do a backflip. He does a kick every now and then. Like, that's not like a redemption story.
This is why Big Brother is a reflection of our reality. Like, because this is exactly what happens in real life too. Like, people will be all up in arms about a thing, and then you wait a month or so, and they don't care anymore, and you can do whatever you want. And that's, I mean, exactly what happened here. But this week, it's Frankie that falls victim. And to the rewind twist, despite winning the HOH and the veto, after the reset, he loses both the HOH and the veto and is voted out. It would have been Victoria up next to Cody after Frankie's HOH, but instead, Frankie goes out here. Probably the biggest knock to Derrick's entire game is that would have had a much harder time at it if Frankie had been allowed to actually survive the final 5 here.
Yeah. And, you know, it was interesting because his argument to them when they said that they were going to be evicting him was he said, like, you're evicting the person who will single-handedly determine the winner of this game. And everyone was so mad at him for saying that. They're like, Frankie, you are not going to determine the winner of this game. He's like, I am so, you are if you let me go, you are releasing me to my 1.5 million followers, which like, no, you're not, because like you're going to the jury house. And he's like, and also I am very influential and I will like be able to be released to the jury and I will be able to convince them. And it's like, oh my God. Like this
freaking gall, the arrogance this kid had talking to these people like that, like, oh, you don't want to betray me because I'm so big and bad, I'm so powerful. Like, boy, go home, get out of here. They've been wanting you gone. Like,
it was, but I do feel for him because it was like he like had such a great week, and then the twist just flattened it, totally destroyed.
I don't feel bad for him because first off, you shouldn't have pressed the button. I'm being butt 50.
I'm not pressing any button. It wouldn't have even mattered. It would have like they would have had to do it anyway. Like there's no way that production would have been like, they didn't press it. Oh well.
Like no, they made it so that way it's a big button. Anyone could press it. Anything will happen. They wanted the button to be pressed because they needed an extra week of I don't know what it needed an extra week of. But like Frankie did a lot of this to himself. Like he has been causing messes, starting fires. Like I think Frankie naturally has a talent for Big Brother, but he also has a talent of doing stupid stuff, making bad decisions, choosing bad allies to work with. Like, because again, had they done Battle of the Block right, he would have gone home the week. What? Zach went home, or one of those weeks. Like Frankie should have been out of this house. Yeah, when Nicole went home, like Frankie should have been gone. So the fact that he has this arrogance that he has so much power, it was disgusting. I was already out on Frankie, but I was like, yeah, I understand why they wanted to boo him. I'm glad he didn't. But it's like, get out of here with that. Like, it's not cool.
Also, I thought it was interesting that in his interview with Julie Chen, he said, well, as you all saw, I did not want Deni to go home. I tried to keep him around, which like is not at all true. He wanted Deni to go. He was like, get him out. And so it was interesting how he thought that he was like playing America and was able to like convince us of certain things that weren't necessarily the case. Like he didn't know that he had the DR being like, America would never want us to save Deni.
I mean, his biggest weakness ultimately is his trust for Derrick, and his lack of being able to acknowledge that all of the people he thought he had as allies, like Zach, like Caleb, Derrick was consistently able to undermine him on. And he thought once again that he had Caleb with him. But it's Caleb that wins that repeat HOH week on the rewind and helps send him home, only to then be immediately betrayed by Derrick and Cody the following week when they win HOH and veto respectively, and decide to betray him to send him out instead of Victoria.
Yeah,
I think Frankie's biggest flaw, in my humble opinion, is that he does not do good maintenance. He doesn't do good maintenance work with his allies. Like
Yeah,
I'm
you're
not
right.
surprised Caleb was the person that took him out because he was the one who sat on the sideline trying to throw a competition to get Frankie out. Like, and that's what Derek's good with. Like, don't matter who you are, whether you're in his alliance or outside the alliance, he's putting the time, putting the energy, making sure that you feel good with him. And once you don't feel good with him, he's like, you can go. Meanwhile, Frankie's like, I'm good with everyone, so you can go if I don't want you here anymore.
Yeah. And this was the end of Caleb again. Beast mode cowboy really became a popular figure by the end of the season. He's invited back to play Survivor twice. I don't know if he has any life left in the CBS world, but really had a whole moment, which is pretty wild. I think that if you aired the first half of this season today, I say today actually, 5 years ago.
Oh boy.
If you aired it today, he would be praised by half the population of the U.S. And if you aired it a couple years ago, he would never have made it anywhere.
Correct.
But that was the end of Caleb this week.
Yep.
Like, and Caleb was like, honestly, actively nothing of a player. Like, he would think he was like the king of this house, king of the castle and stuff like that, when he like will literally do next to not much of anything. He'll win a competition every now and then, but like people didn't think Caleb was thinking. No one thought Caleb was thinking
because of his ego and just like
all
the
you
way
had to
that
do
he
was
saw the
feed into
world.
his ego.
Yeah.
Like I watched all the fights of Baby 16, and Frankie was like, no, not Frank. Caleb was like, I may be stupid, but at least I'm gonna still be here. And I'm like, Caleb, no.
Like, I'm trying to admit to that. Oh man.
That leads us to the final three, where of course Cody wins the final HOH and very controversially decides to cut Victoria in favor of bringing Derrick to the final two. We haven't talked a lot about Victoria throughout this podcast, primarily because she is not a major player in the season. However, I do want to make sure to note that throughout the season, she is a pretty vital player to Derrick's success. He is going to make a kind of final two with her. And she very intentionally plays within that, taking direction from Derrick and doing a lot of subtle things to help maintain Derrick's control over the game. She was like genuinely very effective at that. The problem is obviously that wasn't good for her game. It was only good for Derrick's. It's a lot easier to be effective for somebody else's game than your own. But Derrick being able to sort of take control of Victoria in the game was a huge piece of his success. And really, as the chat is pointing out, we have to be very sensitive about the fact that she has a history with crows, and that's really, you don't want to speak too ill of that.
Yes, of course not. That was such a crazy moment. But no, I do feel like it's very interesting also that like Derrick was able to keep his like final two with Victoria like completely under wraps the entire time. Everybody thought that they were just like dragging Victoria along, but they didn't realize that Derrick had her, that Derrick actually was like working with her.
And Derrick did a good thing. What was it? He was pretended that he was told Victoria that he was voting her out, and she was like, since then she has this vendetta against Derrick. But the whole time they was like, nah, that's my brother. We're cool. We rock together. So I think
they made up this story that because they thought she was leaving. So he was like, I don't want anyone thinking that I have a locked jury vote. So Victoria's like, if I can't win, I want Derrick to win. So I'm going to lie and say that Derrick and I hate each other and that I'm against him because I want the house to not hold it against him that I'm going to vote for him in the jury. And they did a great job with that. Although then they had to, maintain that for an additional week because the rewind week, but still.
And that, of course, brings us to our final two, Cody and Derrick. Honestly, what is there to say about them that hasn't already been said either in this podcast or outside of it? They're both pretty prevalent in the world of reality television now. Cody goes on to win Big Brother All-Stars 2. And they both go on to play the Traitors, where they do not find as much success, which is not surprising. Big Brother players are going to have a harder time on the Traitors generally.
He was on Traitors. Damn.
Yep.
That's so funny.
Yes, the first season.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, he was a traitor with Serene. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Wow, I don't remember
Serene
that.
really cooked him pretty hard. So this jury vote is interesting. This is the classic example I will use often when people talk about like the jury votes for who they like more. Cody very clearly was liked more than Derrick. Cody is the one throughout the entire game that had all of the great social relationships. He is a large part of why Derrick was able to operate in the way that he did. And a lot of people felt closer to Cody throughout the game. But they respected Derrick more. And they just didn't respect Cody's game as much because, as AJ has pointed out already, Derrick called a lot of these shots. It was very clear that that Derrick was the brains behind the operation, and so nearly everyone voted for him because of that. With just Johnny and Jocasta deciding they did not want to contribute, but. This was really no question. Everybody knew that Derrick was going to win. And, Cody had some reason to believe he'd have a chance, but he also, of course, knew that he was going to have a tough time beating Derrick. We talk a lot about the pact to vote for Victoria as a potential reason why Cody might not want to risk something like that. But at the end of the day, I think everybody recognized that, if you want the better chance to win, that was definitely the path to take. Both of them say they would have taken the other and that neither of them would have regretted the decision to this day.
Well, of course, Derrick can say that. Like, because he could be like, of course I would have taken you. Yeah, totally. I don't know if that's true, but,
I wouldn't be surprised if it is true because I think Derrick had it locked up. Like, the moment Frankie left, I was like, no one's touching Derrick at this point in time.
I feel like Derrick, I mean, this was, while it was boring at the time to see Derrick constantly get his way, like I always throughout the season was like, I just want somebody to rise up and do something against Derrick. Like at the end, I was like, Derrick better win. Like I would have been really upset if Derrick didn't win the game because he was so good and he controlled the entire season. And it was just such a masterful game, just such an impressive game. I mean, we talk about him as one of the greats. So I mean, this was so impressive. And I feel like, yeah, like while it maybe wasn't the most entertaining game, it was certainly very well played.
Yeah, I mean,
I think another special thing with Derrick is even going through this season at the time, like, I don't know, maybe Frankie at the end, but I don't know if there was a single HOH who realistically thought, like, if I took out Derrick right now, I would be in a better position. And, like, that's how good Derrick is in putting himself in people's plans, making people feel good with Derrick. Be like, if Derrick leaves, that's going to be a detriment to our game. Was Derrick nominated before the final finale night? I don't think so. Like Derrick did such a great job of implanting himself in other people's game that it was like, when would we have had an opportunity to take Derrick out? That's what makes his game so freaking impressive. Like, I don't see a time you could have took the shot and landed. Like,
no, I don't think it would have landed ever. No, I think you're totally right. I think like even if someone was like, I gotta get him out, and they got him on the block, I don't think anyone would have been like, yeah, let's take Derrick out. I think everyone like wanted to work with Derrick and felt like they were close with Derrick. So like they'd be like, that's not right for my game. I don't want to do that. And I do want to like mention, so one of my favorite moments of the season was when, just little moments, was when Derrick, he had that punishment where he had to listen to 5,000 hollahs, and the one where his daughter does the holla. And it was just the sweetest thing. I like tear up every time. I like always have to rewind it. It's just so cute and it's so well done, the editing, because they have all this like silly music playing while he's listening to all these hollahs. And then all of a sudden they hear his daughter and he hears it and the music cuts out and it's just silent. And he's just like, did you hear that? And he hears his daughter and it's like the sweetest thing. And I absolutely love it. And one other thing I want to mention before, I know we're like trying to wrap up. One other thing I want to mention is that something interesting that I find interesting in like all Big Brother seasons is like the way that there's a vocabulary that develops in the house, where there's like certain words or phrases that people say and it just like catches on. Like this season, it was like jamokes and smoke show and feel a certain way. Like it made me feel a certain way. And I will say I use now feel a certain way in my everyday life when I like don't want to say exactly like that it's made me angry or it's made me upset. I'm like, well, it just made me feel a certain way. And even though it like means nothing, but it takes the edge off.
Pretty common phrase.
But no, it is a common phrase, but like it was never used as frequent. I feel like the way it's used in the house was very interesting. Anyway, I think that it's always fun to try and like remember like what the vocabulary of the house was at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially when you watch the feeds, like it can definitely like incept into your brain.
Totally.
But yes,
like in
ultimately,
it's like Untouchable. You had in 23 or 24 Turner and his Turner-isms.
Personal game information.
And like you got awkward and like shocker and like things like that. Like there's so many little like phrases that come from Big Brother, but yeah. I mean, it wasn't like generated in Big Brother. It wasn't like invented, but like it starts.
Well, Big Brother 16 very much like changes the landscape of Big Brother. It is the first truly dominant season of truly dominant sort of like twist of a season where the twist just completely dominates the gameplay. One player, of course, being able to take advantage of that more than any other. Derrick, who I think undeniably has the most dominant single season performance of any player. The, of course, very common thing is that he's never come back to play again, and people would love to see how he deals with actual adversity, meaning not just 1 week out of the entire season where somebody not in his alliance wins an HOH. And let's be real, he was in an alliance with that person. So certainly that is to his credit, and I don't think anybody can or should try to diminish that credit. But it would still be very fun to see him handle a little bit more pressure. We saw a little bit of that in the Traders, but it's just not the same.
I think it was similar to when Kim came back on Winners at War, and it was like a rough start, but it was still like that was such a good one world game like that she played, even though she struggled more there. And her second time out, like that first time out was so impressive. We can't deny it, how good she is. And even in Winners at War, Kim found her footing and like was dominant for a little bit. And I think according to
most of the audience, he has played Big Brother 2 more times. But you know, that's only if you sort of like believe in the amount of coordinating and pre-gaming that he's done.
That's so funny. No, but I really do think that like it would be great to see him play again. Like I don't think he ever will, because I think he'll just be like, I don't want to like taint my legacy. But like I would love to see him play again. Watching him on the Traders just made it very clear that like it wasn't a fluke. Like I think he really is good, and I think he's really. I would love to see him play again.
Yeah. Well, that is it then for season 16.
Wow, is this the longest one?
I think so.
3 hours. Oh my God, I've never podcasted this long in my life. I'm so passionate about it. I'm telling you.
Well, Melissa, we have to choose 3 people to be on the poster. Who do you think should be on the poster?
I think Derrick. I think Zach. And then this is the controversial one, because I think people will say Deni, but I kind of feel like it should be Frankie. I think it should be. I mean, as much as I love Deni and like I absolutely do, I feel like Frankie, like if I'm imagining the season, like I'm seeing Frankie, and because he had just such his hands and everything, and he was just such a big character, and he, you know, he made everyone feel such strong emotions. They made people so angry and so like frustrated, and he's such like a good villain, and so I do feel like Frankie makes the poster, and of course Derrick, and then Zach. I mean, I can't say no to Zach, so that's my thought.
I personally like. I don't see how you can't put Derrick on it. Like this is one season. Like he plays such a dominant game. Derrick has to be on the poster. I can see a world where this audience puts Cody and Nicole on there from this season. But if it was up to me, like I think you have to have like Zach on there. I think Zach is such a fun presence, and I think if there's ever a pre-jury that should be on the poster, it should be Kaser. But if there's another one, it should be Devin. It should be, like I think Devin has done enough to earn his spot on the poster of BB16. Because what is the first half of the season without that man?
That's true. That's true.
I think there's arguments for Cody, for Derrick, for Frankie, for Nicole, for Deni, for Zach, and for Devin. I think there's a ton of options. This is the only season where this is even possible for there to be 3 winners of the game on a single poster. So there's a pretty strong argument for Derrick, Cody, and Nicole.
Although I do feel like they're gonna be included on future posters. So to me, I'm like, don't waste it. Like put them over there. Like give them their.
Like we don't see
own...
Devin, Zach, or Derrick ever again.
Yeah, like we don't see them ever again. We don't see Frankie ever again either. So.
Well,
we don't see Deni ever again. Oh my God.
Listen,
don't
say we're not doing the Reindeer Games poster.
Back.
No way.
You can go and vote.
Deni wasn't asked back. Like I felt like leaving the season, that was like one of the bigger locks.
I believe he's been in the running before, but yeah, it never came back, which is wild.
That's really wild.
Well, you can vote for who should be on the poster at robswebsite.com/BB Retrospective. I'll try and have that up shortly after this podcast ends. But in the meantime, that is what we have for you. I'll be back next week to talk about Big Brother 17. And if it goes 3 hours or longer, I'm going to cancel this podcast. So it's going to be shorter.
We're sorry. I'm sorry. I told you I had a lot to say. Obviously, I was like, Melissa, get me on a podcast.
We appreciate the passion. I don't think anybody in this world could have brought the Big Brother 16 podcast to 3 hours. So we truly chose correctly.
I'm sorry. When Sam asked me what season do you want to do, I was like, Big Brother 16 or nothing. That's it. I want that. So I got it. I literally didn't even fill out the survey. I just said I want Big Brother 16. I needed it.
Well, we'll be back next week to talk about Big Brother 17, which of course means Vanessa, Steve, Johnny Mac, all of that goodness. The first season I podcasted about, so there'll be plenty to talk about there. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, make sure you find me over on Twitch or YouTube, hanging out, watching shows like Survivor live when it happens, talking about other shows and stuff like that. AJ, where can people find you?
You can't have good night.
There you go. And Melissa.
You can find me on Blue Sky and Instagram at It's Melissa with 3 A's. And you can scroll down my Instagram and find the picture of me with Hayden.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us here today. I hope you enjoyed the long podcast, and we will see all of you next time.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.